Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning. I want to get it started. We always start off a little bit off topic a little bit. So I want to have a moment of silence if we can for the young lady. Now, I'm not sure what her name is. I'm sure y'all know what her name is. The young lady that from Glee that lost her life went swimming with her son, and they found her body last night. I think it was last night they found her body. Frank, you familiar with this with the story I'm talking about?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's a young actress. I think she was like 32, 33 years old, something like that. She lost her life, man. She went swimming. Went out boating, renting the boat or whatever the case with her son, and the story is coming out right now. The son is I think he's 4 years old, and what happened was while they was out, um, something happened, and I guess both of them end up in the water. And she fought, and she got her son back on the boat, and say she lifted him back on the boat. He told the story when the authorities was actually asked and say that asked what happened to the mom. Said she put me on the boat, and he said he turned around and his mother wasn't there. So evidently, some current or something got a hold to her and pulled her up under. But in the course of all that, she was able to put her son back on the boat. And when the authorities found that, said another boater came by and saw there was a boat out there with just a little boy, little child on it. And naturally, the person went to try to find out what's going on. They consulted the authorities, and they actually found her body yesterday. So I wanted to have a moment of silence for this young lady. Christy is all over the place. I don't know what Christy doing over there, but I want to have a moment of silence for her, if y'all don't mind. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Right. What do you hear when you hear that story, man? And I always talk about a mother's love, man. A mother's love is absolutely amazing. She fought, and the last thing that she did was place her son on that boat to get him out of harm's way, even though she didn't make it herself. What does that say to you, man?
I don't
That
know what to say to that, man. That's just so tragic. But that's and I don't like to separate the love that a parent has for a child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but um, that's it's tragic, man. It's just I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of this, and of course, thank God that the child is alive. But it's so unfortunate that this child has to relive that
Mm-hmm.
moment the
Mm-hmm.
rest of his life and then
Yeah.
spend the rest of his life without his mom.
Mm.
That's just, man, it breaks my heart, man.
But then you think about it, and one of the positive things, if there is a positive thing in this, is that he'll always know how much his mother loved him, man, because she sacrificed herself to make sure that he was okay, and she placed him on the boat, placed him back on the
Yeah,
boat out of harm's way.
yeah.
Even though Christy, you're a mother, man. What does that say to you?
I mean, that's just who we are as moms. I'm really that's just whew, that's a hard one because I've known mothers, I know we read about who lifted up cars to save their children. It's that adrenaline is no love like a mother's love. Because I mean I'm not saying that the daddy love isn't as much as it's greater, but that's just evidence of how much we love our kids. We'll go through the end of the earth. I know I will for mine, and I have, and I will continue to. But that's just what we do. She wanted to, my grandmother used to tell me, and God rest her soul, and I love her to this day. She would tell me, Christy, I done lived my life.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I've already lived. It's your turn. So
Yeah.
whatever I have to do to make sure you make it to adulthood and be a good person, that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I remember we had a wreck, and my grandmother swung the car so it wouldn't hit my side, and it ended up hitting the back. it's just that adrenaline that parents do. It doesn't, I mean, mom, grandma, it's just that love. And it's unexplainable how much you can love a child,
Mm-hmm.
and love your child and be able, because I would have done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, I would have done, if I had 4 kids out there, I would have tried to save all 4, regardless of myself.
Yeah.
And if I made it, thank God. If I didn't, Lord, I lost my life saving my children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, and Frank, you know, you've heard me say many times before, man. The the mother's love is the closest thing. Nothing will ever match God's love, but the mother's love for a child, man, is definitely, to me, it's definitely second. And I'm a father. I got 4 girls of my own, man. But I tell them all the time, man, love your mother more than you love me, because there's nothing like a mother's love. What do you say to that, Frank?
You know, I think a mother's love is different,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not only is it different, you're talking about um a person that literally that life came out of them.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't experience that as much as we planted the seed. Um, so that carrying, that discomfort, the actual pain of childbirth, not taking anything away from how much I love my kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the process of bringing a child into this world causes that relationship to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And this you can equate it to not to many things, but you have people in your life, but there's some things that people have experienced with you that just makes them closer to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you going through a mother going through that with her children, with each of her children, to make the decision to have a second child after experiencing, labor and 9 months of pregnancy and Braxton Hicks and all of those other things, and doing it again. You gotta be you God put something in women that he did not put in men, because it's what good would it be in us? What We're not gonna give birth to children.
Frank,
So
I'm gonna
it's
go.
not in us.
Frank, I'm gonna
That's
go.
not there.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Frank. Honestly speaking, I don't think we'll be able to do it, man. I don't think we'll be able to do
Well,
it.
I mean, we're not designed to do it.
No,
That's
no.
not that doesn't make us weak. That doesn't necessarily make you stronger. But that's one of the things that women are that they can do. That
Mm-hmm.
God gave them the ability to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't take anything away from women.
Mm-hmm.
I applaud them, but I
Absolutely.
don't applaud them at the expense of taking anything away from me and I.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Hey,
I don't
go
think
ahead.
the love is taken away from the father at all. Um, and I mean, to me, father's love is necessary, but it's not always there. It's like like they say, dad is maybe, mama's baby. It's like with a mom, is no way you can say it's not my child. There's no way you can say, oh, that's that other man's child, it's not my child. There's no way you can walk out a mother. And I'm speaking of a healthy minded mom. I'm not speaking of these extra situations. But it's not normal for a mom to carry a child and then just walk away from that child. Normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in our society, we have a lot of men that can walk away from families and children after years of being married or whatever the situation may be, and not have a father figure in the household. Statistics have proven to that and show that there are more single parent homes with just mom or blended families. So you have to understand a mother love is is forever, and it's going to be there regardless, and a daddy's love is a little different. um I applaud Raheem and I applaud Frank and I applaud Leonard, but you have to understand, you three men are like a endangered species in our society. It's not that all men are in their children's lives as they should be. And I would employ all men. If you have children, I don't care what the situation is with the baby mama. I don't care. Make sure you have a relationship with your child so they'll know their father love. And if they don't know their father love, I promise you they know their mama love. I can speak only for me. I know my children know the love that I have for them, and I will go through the earth for them. But that may not be so for a father. You have children that are in the hospital right now going through, and the father's nowhere to be found.
Mm.
Christy, I want to do something that I've done before, and nobody's listened to me. But I want to give every woman out there the solution to single parent households. Now, I want to write it down, because if we do this, 10 years from now, we won't be dealing with this. When I grew up in the inner city of Detroit, there was groups of people that made decisions to be different things that our community punished them for doing that. If you were a thief, if you were a drug addict, if you were a prostitute, we labeled you that way. And when you walk down the street, I don't know if you've ever been on a farm where you're somebody who's not a part of that farm. But the cows and stuff will actually stand still and just look at you. And that's how we used to do them. And they would feel the shame of their decision. If our sisters would do that to men, because you know who they are, men who are having babies in these, because women talk. Women know that Keith has a kid over here and a child over there and a kid over here and another kid over there. At some point, if you don't know, you need to be asking about Keith. What's going on with Keith? Who is Keith? Who? Keith lives over here. Oh, Keith's like a testicle child. Oh, let me tell you, Keith got 8 babies by 8 different women. See, Keith needs to be punished. Keith needs to be made an example of. Keith needs not to be accepted. And what will happen is other women will find out about how women, Keith shouldn't be dated, Keith shouldn't be celebrated. And other men will find out, man, why do the women treat Keith like that? Oh, because the women found out. The Keith got kids and he ain't taking care of them. And men will not want to be named along with Keith. Now, it will take some time. But I promise you, men will do better when the punishment is not having women. Mm-hmm. The bulk of everything we do, the reason we dress, what we drive, the jobs we get, are to please women. And when you are set aside by women, or you will change your behavior. Mm-hmm. Men are doing this is because it is accepted.
Mm-hmm. Let me play this clip. I've been looking for this thing while y'all was talking, and this is the young lady name was Naya. I think it's Naya Rivera, and this
I know her.
You know her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, listen to this clip, y'all. Okay, where's my volume?
We are confident the body we found is that of Naya Rivera. We know from speaking with her son that he and Naya swam in the lake together at some point during their journey. It was during that time that her son described being helped into the boat by Naya, who boosted him onto the deck from behind. He told investigators that he looked back and saw her disappear under the surface of the water.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the story, Frank. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That is. Thank God that little boy is alive, but that is so heartbreaking, man. So heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. But she and as I said, man, she her last act, the last thing that she did here on this side was save her son.
Yeah.
Was save her son, Christy. That was the last act that she did. And
And
she
Raheem,
mm-hmm.
oh, I'm sorry. It goes into say, how do you want to be remembered? That's what, how do you want to be remembered? What is your legacy and what are you leaving behind? You know, it speaks volumes to that to me. No one remembers that she was in Glee right now.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers the song she sung at the last Glee. Nobody remembers even what she may look like. Nobody remember who she was. But I'm telling you right now, everyone is remembering and talking about her last act of saving her son and the mother love. So it matters. Your last moment matters.
And Anna, good morning. And Anna, what we're talking about right now, this is not our topic. This is just an opener this morning. We're talking about Naya Rivera. And let me you heard the story?
I heard of what happened, yes.
Yeah, and her last act on this side of glory was saving her son from drowning. And he said he turned around after she lifted him on the boat. He turned around and her body disappeared. But you know, and we was talking about a mother's love, how powerful a mother's love is. She sacrificed every part of her to make sure that her son was okay. Every part of her, she sacrificed. What do you say to that, Anna?
That's a mother's love. We're so selfless when it comes to our own. We would give up anything for them, including our last breath. I must say, my 15-year-old, as everyone knows, he loves music. He's my special baby. He loves Glee. So I'm sure the music, it's just about the music, not the show. He doesn't watch a show. He just goes and he watches he'll just listen to certain Glee songs. And I'm like, where did he learn that? And he'll say, YouTube. YouTube. And I'm like, okay. So there's all these songs. So I'm sure he knows her music. I'm not too much into that or whatever she did on Glee. However, to think that a mother just sat here and saved her baby, it's not unheard of. I would do it without thinking twice. My babies, I'll be another Naya Rivera on the news. Mother, whatever. Mother flips car over, get her babies out. I mean, I am that mother, and many of us are. There are some exceptions to the rule, as with anything. Some won't, but there's not a thing I wouldn't do for my own. And lastly, I wanted to say I send my deepest condolences to her family, especially that child that saw his mother pass away, in that manner, who will need a lot of counseling. And I send, my deepest condolences, and I also will keep them in my prayers. And, most importantly, I pray that she was saved, because I think to us, that's the most important thing that matters to us Christians, that, they have that opportunity to have it made it to heaven. So.
Good deal. Frank, what's on your heart, brother? Frank, you there?
Yeah, man. With this, it's just, man. it's so unfortunate. You know, it's just I don't even. I'm at a loss for words, man.
Mm-hmm.
A 4-year-old child. It's just I I am so it's and you know maybe this is causing me to be off my square a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tired of seeing children growing up without their parents, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just so unfortunate. It's just it's like that we have to always achieve things in spite of not having the love and support that so many people have, man. And I agree with Anna, man. I pray for that young man, and I pray that he somehow can come to peace with this and have a productive life, and he has the support of a great family that can help him through. And I also pray that he does not ever blame himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're gonna move on. We're gonna go into our topic for the day. The topic is something else. The topic is something else, and asking a question, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. And I know this thing goes in a whole lot of different ways. And the phone lines are open 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. The phone lines are open. Give us a call. We'd love to hear your input. 678-381-1973. And the question today is this: who is responsible? Oh, now you know what it is, huh?
Yeah.
Who is responsible when someone cheats? Who is responsible when someone cheats? When someone steps out on a relationship, who's the responsible party? Is it the one that actually steps out, or is it the one that been withholding certain activities for X amount of time? Who's responsible? What do you say to that, Christy?
Oh, you would come to me first, right?
Absolutely.
I saw this post on Facebook, y'all. I was reading them posts and I was cracking up. Y'all serious? But to me, the person who cheats is responsible because you're only responsible for your own your actions. So, your reaction to whatever the person is doing, it's up to you. If you have a vow, if you're married and you take those marriage vows, and your partner is withholding, y'all both are wrong. One, your partner is wrong because the Bible tells you that your body is not of your own and nor is his. And so y'all come together as one. So sex should not ever be withheld from anyone as punishment or as anything. So if that's being done, unless it's a medical reason. Now, if it's a medical reason, that's a horse of another color. You married, your vows said until death you part. It didn't say until his stuff stopped working or you don't want it no more. You're in a committed relationship or a marriage. So that's what it is. So y'all both are wrong. I mean, if you're just withholding just to withhold it. And if you are having an affair outside of your marriage, I don't care how you stripe it, it's wrong. You made those vows. Now that's a conversation that needs to be had if you want to just, leave the marriage and go and be a wild woman and commit fornication, which is also wrong. Get some STDs, HIV, coronavirus, whatever you want to catch, and that's on you.
Say coronavirus and whatever you want to catch. Okay, go ahead.
Because that's what's gonna happen. Because you're gonna be out there, you're not gonna have in other words, you're not gonna have the covering of God, and you're not gonna have His blessings. If we speaking from Christ, we already know that it's wrong. Period. Point blank. And too many times we let our emotions and morality. Morality get in a place, just like people say, well, if you hungry and you steal some food, well, you still wrong. If you hungry and you steal, you are still committing theft. So we can't let our emotions get in the way of what we know is right and wrong. So if you are cheating on your marriage, regardless of the situation, you are completely wrong. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Frank, what do you say to that? Frank, you there?
No, yeah, I'm obedient, man. I got my phone mute. I gotta unmute the phone.
Okay.
Wake up and go to sleep.
Wake up Exactly.
Lord.
Yeah, you know
Love
my
it.
yeah, Raheem.
Mhm.
And I thank God that me and you were kind of in the same situation. If I cheat on my wife, it's absolutely my fault. If my wife cheats on me, it's her fault. There's nothing, and I use the old analogy of the roll of paper towel. If you
Mhm.
submerge it in Kool-Aid and you put pressure on it, Kool-Aid is going to come out.
Mhm.
The only thing that pressure has shown you is what's in you. So when you come up under pressure, when you feel the temptation to step out on your marriage, the love of Christ should show up. That's what should come out of you because that's what should be in you.
Mhm.
And so many people make that mistake and say, well, she's not doing it. It don't have nothing to do with her. This is showing who you are, what you're made of.
Mhm.
That's all this is showing. But let me say this, and this is the reason I know it may have made you nervous when I said this, that I said me and you were in the same situation.
Mhm.
Both of our wives are educated.
Yeah.
And not only are they educated, they are women with vision, and they inspire not just to be good, but to be great. And you understand that by being the husband of a wife that is a administrator, that it is taxing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
there's been you know how many times that I've walked up on my wife and she's been asleep at her computer.
Mhm.
Now, how selfish would it be for me to wake her up and say, "Hey, girl, get up, come on in this room." Dude, when I see my wife and I've watched her, not only go to work, but teach after school programs, and then come home and try to get everything together, not just for the next day, but for weeks, and then be in meetings and just to exhaust herself. How selfish would that to be of me to look upon her and say, okay, now I'm your husband, and you know what the Bible says. Fool, cut that out.
Mhm.
Cut. You weren't praying when you married this woman, because God should have revealed to you that, okay, this is who she is. This is what some days are going to look like. So some people are just immature and selfish, and it's all about them.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. But let me see that. Now, I understand what you just said. I understand all of what you just said, Anna. Anna, we can hear you, right? Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. She said, mm. Um, but if we had to put the responsibility somewhere, who would be responsible, Frank?
It's on the person that cheated.
Mm.
If you can't honor your marriage, and I am 100% against divorce,
Mhm.
100% against it. So
Mhm.
don't hear me saying I'm
But then you have a divorce.
a divorce. But if you can't honor that union, you should be in that union.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. Let me go to Leonard. Leonard, have you heard of this young lady that and this is what we started this morning from Glee, the one that
She
drowned?
died at sea. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And her last act was actually saving her son and placing her son on the back of the boat. And the police did a report. I played it this morning about how he turned around after she placed him on the boat. He turned around and saw her body being overtaken by the water. Her last act on this side of glory is saving her son. And we spoke this morning, Leonard, and I want to hear your heart. That's why I'm going back to this, and then we're going to continue. A mother's love, Leonard. A mother's love. Is there anything outside of God's love that will ever equal a mother's love?
I don't believe so. No,
Mm.
not really, because the dynamic of being able to create something that looks like you,
Mm-hmm.
acts like you, and everything. That's amazing. I believe that's why that is reserved for the female.
Mm-hmm.
That connection.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
There's no other way you get here that we know of.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. I ain't never seen no other path. You know something I don't know?
Not really.
You know,
I've heard of some other things, but
yeah, look, you know something I don't know? Look here,
that's a
brother.
little above and beyond the conversation.
Exactly, exactly. Now, now, Leonard, I need to hear your heart on this right here, and then I'm gonna go to Anna because I want to hear her heart as well.
Excuse me.
When someone who is responsible when someone cheats, is it the person that actually cheats? And that's what most people will say, the person that actually cheats. But what about the person that's been holding back and holding out for months or whatever the case? Is 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 that a vehicle too that supported in this cheating?
Not really. I think it contributes, but
Yeah.
it's not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who say, "Well, if I was just getting enough at home, then I wouldn't be outside." Yes, you would, because you're nasty.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do it. I mean, I don't believe in these other acts of desperation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you plan to do everything. You don't. A lot of people say, "Well, it just had no. It couldn't have just happened.
Mm-hmm. You just walk out the door and you just fell in it.
It couldn't have just happened."
You just walk out the door and whoop.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have to.
It wasn't me.
You know, people would love to say, "Well, I did it because of this." I know you probably would have done it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't know how you did it the first time, you're gonna wind up doing it again.
Mm-hmm. And see, my thing is too, for a person for one to do that, man, there have to be a total disrespect for the person that you're with, because you've lost all respect for them to step out and do something like that, because you lost everything. We talk about in a marriage, you lost everything, you lost the respect, and everything that you have for this person and the union that you all have together. Anna, what's on your heart? And cut it out, Anna.
Oh, you think you got to be all that?
Mm-hmm.
It was an entanglement.
It could be just something you. It just could be a wild hair up your behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it happens for different reasons. I can't make up a reason for somebody why it happened,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I don't know. You know what is so deep about it? I
Mm-hmm.
guess
Okay.
it's harder to keep from doing it. I know than doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
But then it goes away. It just depends on where you are in your maturity level too when you get married.
Mm-hmm. Anna, what's on your heart?
Okay, I was a little confused on how everybody would respond. I'm actually kind of happy that people were actually honest enough to say, this or that. I think we're responsible. We're each and every one of us are responsible for our own deeds. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to talk about what we're talking here on our chat. We're talking about we cheat with food, okay? We like to eat, okay? And, we know we're not supposed to be doing that neither. But with that being said, if you're out here and you're looking for something out there, okay, and you're going to find what you're looking for sooner or later. Okay, with that being said, you're going to find what you're looking for sooner or later. Don't just tell me that something just took place. And when you talk about withholding, I'm assuming Raheen, you're talking about sexually
Activity.
withholding.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
That's not everything in a relationship. It's a part of it, and it is a beautiful thing when it does happen between a married couple. Okay, a beautiful thing. But I will say this, and I'm just speaking for myself. If I have to go out there and I'm playing the single field, I'm not going to go to this one, that one, and that one to worry about sexual encounters. At this lovely, tender age of 29, I'm not worried about that. What I'm looking for in a relationship is something totally different, and it's spiritually beyond everything, and it's to be able to grow together at an old age and do my Father's work. That's where I stand at spiritually. Now, if you have to cheat on me because I supposedly wasn't satisfying you in that sense, then you need to get going anyways, because you just committed adultery and that's that. It might hurt me. Of course, who's not going to be hurt going through a divorce? But there's nothing else to talk about. We can sit here and try to have a conversation, but you're just going to say not. I touched on this very briefly yesterday. When someone does whatever it is that you're doing, us, it's food, okay? But when you do whatever it is that you're doing, you do it and you've justified in your head already why you're doing it. So you're already justified in your head that, okay, I'm cheating on her or him because I'm not getting it at home. Whatever, this was a decision you made already well before you committed the act, or it just happened. I don't think so. It did not just happen. That's not how it rolls. So with that being said, these are acts that you're lusting over another. You're just sinning all the way around. So in my eyes, no, it's just you messed up. And why are we talking about anything? So and point being, I'm very happy with the way you guys have answered. At least you guys were honest, because for somebody to tell me there's no reason why or no way that I would ever do it, that's a lie. People do it all the time, pastors and everything else. So you can't sit here and tell me there's no way and actually not do it, and you're being withheld, especially a man. I'm not being biased, but men is
yeah. Because no, we're not gonna take ownership of that, because women, y'all do it too.
Excuse me, is Raheem playing sides again?
No,
He always do.
I'm playing equal. I'm playing equal because just like men cheat, and men cheat, but women cheat too. Women, as a matter of fact, honest the truth of the matter, women cheat better than we cheat. So we'll tell on ourselves. We're not good at
women cheat better than you men.
Because y'all hold on to y'all. Hold on. What y'all do? Y'all go out here. Y'all see, we'll cheat. We'll tell it. We'll be written all over our face. We'll tell it on ourselves in some kind of way. We'll tell on y'all. Go out there, y'all to cheat. Do everything y'all do. Come home, cook, have the house clean, and cook and everything be all in place. And we looking like, oh man, she been here all day. Nah, she been out there with Bubba. So y'all do it.
Raheem, you must have forgot. Who's out making love to your old lady while you was out making love? Hey.
Johnny Taylor, baby. All day.
Okay, hold on. Let me mute Chris. Chris, I don't know where she going this morning.
Johnny,
go ahead, Frank.
I like that Johnny Taylor, Chris.
No, something that biblically, it says that if you look upon another woman as you would your wife and lust, you've already committed adultery. Now, us just being men, women married or not married, and this is something that I always try to do with any woman that I meet, if we're going to be around each other for any length of time. I always introduce her to my wife. I always keep my wife on my lips. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm married. Not that they care, but at least they know. But the thing that a lot of women, they're easy to point to. Men do this and men do that. But man, nobody flirt more than women. Nobody. And they may think that it's innocent because, I'm just having fun at work. This is my work boo, or this is that. But biblically, Scripture tells us not to do that. And the very Scripture that so many people will lean on and say that a man or woman is not to withhold himself from his spouse. Because when we talk about this, we're talking about married people, because this is not for single people. And it says the reason that it tells us not to withhold ourselves is so that other person is not tempted. It's so they're not tempted. So don't you think when you're flirting, when you make references to your hair and I just came out of the gym and look how I'm looking. I know you think I'm looking good, or you make a little slick saying about your anatomy, and you know what you're doing, and you're tempting that man. You've sinned. You've already committed adultery. But see, and then when that man, even if he doesn't cheat with you, you have these inappropriate conversations with him, and then there's somebody else that's willing to lay with him, even if you're not, that blood is on your hands. So be careful of the things that you say and the way that you flaunt in the office, and you just look back and all the men looking, and you take pride in that. Be careful. Be careful when you're pointing the finger.
So in a roundabout way, you're saying that the blood is on their hands, so they're responsible for the cheating as well.
Absolutely. If we want to begin to see, we need to clean it all up. Let's not just point at the man and say, look at him. And I'm not saying all women do this, but too many of them do. Too many of them do. And then they want to take on this role of, I'm not doing nothing, because they're not laying with the man. But you're tempting this man and you're making him weak.
So do you
now,
think
somebody
Frank,
can say,
hold on, Frank. Do you think that the dress attire, the way that a young lady,
oh my goodness, don't even go down that road right here. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you think that could be also a part of enticing or form of misleading?
Oh,
I'm coming to, yeah. Go ahead.
Absolutely. But go ahead.
No. That's it. That's why I was going with you. Let me go to Christy. Christy, what do you say to that? The way that you all dress sometimes, and not personally. When I say you, I'm not talking about you personally, but I'm just saying on women. The way they dress sometimes, could that be a form of enticing or misleading?
for a weak man. For a man that don't know, for a weak man that can't. I mean, I dress very well at work. I have people looking at my body all the time, and I'm a flirt too, so I love to flirt. But at the same time, I'm gonna tell you like this: I'm not finna wear no oversized shirt to hold my breasts. My breasts are big, and I ain't finna try to hold. I ain't finna do all that. So if you looking, I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. You asked a question. So women that you supposed to dress in modest apparel. So I dress in modest apparel, but I'm not finna hide my features either, because I'm a beautiful girl. Number two, I want to say this. If you that weak of a man, Frank, do you be looking? I think you be looking. And you be checking people out sometimes. But all men do.
No.
All men do. All men look. I mean, you can wait. Let me finish.
Christy, hold on, Christy, hold on.
Okay, but
hold
that's
on,
an honest question, because
Frank,
you had a statement.
Frank,
okay, I'll shut up.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Even though I know it was done unjust, but my thing is we're not gonna personalize this thing. That was to me that was a little personal, and we're not gonna do that. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're gonna do. Yeah, that to me that was a little personal. We're not gonna do that. But go ahead, Christy.
I was gonna say all men look at women and say, "Oh, she's pretty," or "She has a nice figure." I'm not saying in a sexual manner. I feel like all men look. And so with that being said, you can't say that because a woman looks nice, that she's the cause of you mentally looking at her and lusting after her. That's something on the inside of you. You can't blame women for your own lustful desires. And that's for the men that's looking at a woman. That's like saying that's like a predator looking at a kid playing at the park and say, "Oh, she tempted me to go molest her." No, she didn't. Or a kid, it's all on what's on the inside of you. It's just like the what Frank was saying about the paper towel. Is whatever you soak up and squeeze out is going to come out, right? So whatever's on the inside of you is going to come out. So you can't put all that on women. You can't say women is the cause of men because of the way they look or the way they smell or the way they walk or the way they talk and all these different things. You cannot.
My thing is, and I understand what you're saying, and I understand where you're going with that, but at the same time, you got to understand too. It's like I had a pastor friend, and this young lady used to come to the church, and to me the story was funny, but it was serious at the same time. This young lady, you just go to church, and she'll sit on the front row. She always want to sit on the front row, and he's up there trying to preach. He's up there trying to bring the word, but she's exposing herself to him while he's up there trying to preach.
That's different. That's
That
out of order.
it is, and so can that be what you just said, dressing a certain way when when you're just doing it, if you're doing it for the intent to entice somebody. Frank, you wanted to say something. You want to say something in response? We got two callers.
I do.
We got
I
two
do.
callers.
Real quick.
Okay.
Real quick. I have a brother that came on this program. His name is Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashid watched me for a couple of years. And he said, "Man, what is this thing that you do?" I said, "She, what are you talking about?" He said, I'm with you because you're my best friend. And I watch different women come around. And I see you acknowledge that a person just came in, and then I watch you turn away. I said, I got the no look rule. And he said, "What is that?" I said, "To help me honor my wife, I will acknowledge that somebody's in a room. Now, if they're not somebody that came to have a conversation with me or that I need to be talking about, and they're not my wife or my daughter or somebody, when I see who this person is and I look at their face, I turn away." And he said, and at this time he was struggling. He was single and he was struggling with lust. And he said, "Dude, I'm gonna adapt that." And he did it for a year. He said, "Man, that really helped me." After that year, he got married. But he was struggling with some things. And him watching me for 2 years, it helped him. But guess what? I didn't do it to help him. I did it to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't, man, look, I don't trust this flesh. I don't trust the heart. The Bible tells us that it's wicked. So I don't tempt it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people that can come right on this airways and tell you the way that I honor my wife. So I understand when I begin to talk to women about things that they can do. And for some, okay, you said don't make it personal, so I'm gonna be cool. So understand there are things that women can do if you want us. If you really want men to be better, there are things that you can do to help us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
Good deal. We got a couple of callers, and before I go to the callers, y'all hold on for 1 second. I gotta go to Leonard. Leonard got this look on his face right now. And Leonard got this look on his face right now. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
I was just listening. I forgot actually that this was going to be the topic today.
Well, this been one of the days you called in, brother.
About the cheating. That's what we're talking about, the cheating.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I was just wanting to hear because, sometimes we complicate things too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I managed women the majority of my career, right?
You said
and women
that chat that I'm not gonna repeat, but go ahead, brother.
Women are wildly inappropriate in the workplace.
Wow.
Far more than any men I have ever worked with.
And you work with them firsthand. So go ahead, brother.
And there are things that women do. I don't know if it's just because they're women that men don't do.
Mm-hmm.
Women casually touch you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The things that would not be acceptable for me as a man in the workplace.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that I did notice. And then you have the ones that are just very overt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ones that actually try to corner you in your office.
Mm-hmm.
But when men seem more cautious, whereas women do things as if I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I can touch and rub you and everything. I can rub you on the back of your neck or this, that, and the other. And they do that, and I'm not sure if they're doing it in the same vein as men or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's not appropriate for men. but women seem to have a natural something going on that makes them believe that it's okay. Now,
Is there
from
can that be considered a double standard in that in
in
that
the
realm?
workplace, yes.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
from the male point of view, and I don't know how to be polite about it. Real men
Mm-hmm.
don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, why can't I do that to you?
And so the way that the women touch you, if you go up on the next day, Leonard, and touch them in the exact same way, it'll be an issue.
Oh yeah. And you
Wow.
have to be very particular about the type of woman.
Mm-hmm.
There are some women who flirt a lot. They're very, very flirty.
Mm-hmm.
And they say little things to see if you will respond.
Mm-hmm.
But once you let a woman know who you are and where you at, they don't come at you no more.
And I'm gonna tell you something, and Leonard, I think you heard me say this before, man. A lot of time, I'm just as dumb as a bag of rocks, man. When it comes to I'm just as dumb as a bag of rock. I didn't get it, went over my head. I didn't. Yeah, I know what just happened, but no, I'm not gonna respond to it. I just act like I'm dumb as a bag of rocks, and I move on to something else. I keep it moving.
But no, I have to address it up front.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm glad I have the wife I have, because I would have had a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I have a lot of women friends.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Me too.
Lot.
Yeah, exactly. We got a couple of people on the phone line. Let me touch the phone line real quick. We got Curtis. Curtis, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Morning, Globe family. What's up? What's up? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on with you, Captain? We're talking about this morning,
man. What's going on, Kurt?
Who is responsible when someone cheats? Who is responsible when someone cheats? Is it the person that actually steps out and cheats, or is it the person that's been holding out for months and months and months? Can that person push the other person out of the bed into someone else's arms? Who's responsible, Kurt?
Man, like, listen, you can't just, this blame game is over, man.
Mm-hmm.
Blame game is over. We have hit the age where, guess what? Everybody got to take accountability for their own actions.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? If you are not, I'm reminded of Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs 9:21, or it could be 21:9, but it's somewhere in there in Proverbs. I'd rather live on the corner of a tin roof than to deal with a quarrelsome and nagging woman. You should live on the corner of a tin roof instead of dealing with a quarrelsome and nagging woman.
Mm-hmm.
There's several things out there that tell the man and the woman, look, what to do and what not to do. And if you're not doing those things and your peoples go and get somebody who is doing those things according to the scripture canons and text, or taking them close or making them think that they're close to the scripture canons and text, if you're doing those things that's going to send your folk out there, then take the accountability and say, look, a part of this was my fault. The biggest problem with our community is we so busy trying to blame each other that we don't even see really the natural causes of what's going on. Mm-hmm. We don't see it, man. We don't see it. Like when somebody mess around, it's even me. If my lady mess around, as a man, I gotta look at, well, what did I do to contribute to that? What did I do to contribute to that? Even if that meant I was being too soft.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that meant that I didn't stand up for what I believe in, even if that meant that I didn't provide what I was supposed to have, I gotta admit that. I can't just say, well, she just messed around because she just wanted to mess around. No, that's crap. That's foolishness. People move in the way people move. One of the things that I learned is that people move in a way that makes them happy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not making them happy, they will find somebody who can, or who they think can. If you're not satisfying the basic needs, in Maslow kind of laid it out there. I don't know what his religious affiliation was, but he kind of laid it out there so that mankind could understand what the basic human needs are. If
Mhm.
you're not meeting that part of that pyramid, then you gotta address it, bro.
Mhm.
If you don't, she's gonna go and find somebody to address that pyramid. That's just what it is. That's human nature, that's human behavior. Now I'm not saying we going to heaven. You see what I'm saying? I'm definitely not gonna put us in hell because I believe that God honestly knows that, like, hey, being a human being is not easy. It's
Mhm.
not easy. But this constant blame game, only thing blaming does is it allows for you to not have to deal with you.
Mhm.
That's all it do.
Mhm.
That's all it do. And just to back up, I was listening to what everybody was saying with the females inappropriate behavior and the double standard, right? Let me tell you, bro, something right now. The female has one thing that bros don't have, period. You know what that is?
What's that?
A female can always revert back to being a victim, and that's acknowledged. A
Mm.
male, very rarely can he revert to being a victim. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying, let's use the Me Too movement. When all these women came out, Me Too, Me Too, Me Too, Me Too, I'm not saying that they was wrong. No, they had every right to do that. And by God, if one of them was my daughter, I'd be locked up right now. But all at the same time, when Terry Crews came out and said Me Too, he was shunned upon. He was kind of looked at with a side eye. Like,
Mhm.
no, he can't really be talking about he's a part of this sexual harassment thing. But you got people like Rose McGowan, who certain people in the industry will tell you that she indulged in those types of behaviors, like Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, but she didn't get the full weight of what was promised to her as far as career wise.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? But the Me Too movement allowed for her to come in and embrace her, but they didn't embrace Terry Crews.
Mhm. So
So
again,
women can all,
I'm saying again, I'm asking the question: was that a double standard?
well, no, that's why I said that.
Mhm.
You know, I heard what y'all was saying. It's dead on point. I was actually piggybacking
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
double standard. There is a double standard. The
Mhm.
double standard is only there because society has allowed for women to always be a victim. Now, that's a gift and a curse for women. It is a gift and a curse. The gift is, you know what, we acknowledge that there's a problem and we got to get it. Us men, we have to get ourselves together. But then you have those women who will exploit the fact, who are opportunists, who will exploit the fact that, oh, I can always say that I'm a part of the Me Too movement. And what happens is that decreases the value of, for example, this is no disrespect to my sister or my sisters, but if Christy come out and say, look, this man is sexually harassing me, or if Anna come out and say, this man is sexually harassing me, or if anyone, Cassandra, any one of the women who come and say, look, this man is sexually harassing me, people like McGowan exploits the truth for their own selfish purposes.
Mhm. Let me
So
go.
now what you have is a society saying, hey, we don't know what to believe.
Mhm.
How we know you telling the truth? Because you got exploiters that's sitting there and ruin it for the women who actually is going through it.
Mhm. Let me do this, Kurt. Let me
You
go
see
to
what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely. We got another call. Let me go to that caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I don't know if that's me or not.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But that is.
There it
Good
is.
morning.
Hey, good morning, Donna. How you doing? What's on your heart, brother? I know you've been listening for a minute. What's on your heart, man? Who's responsible when someone cheats?
And the person that does, I can blame whatever. You know, let me just read something that I was reading when I heard y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's James the first chapter, but the 12th verse. It might not if somebody might say that's out of context, but I'm here. Okay. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot tempt with evil, neither tempted he any man. But if a man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust
Mm-hmm.
and enticed. So who I'm gonna blame? If it's me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if she's an ugly bumpkin. If that's my companion, then I should love my ugly bumpkin. If she's sick,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
just saying, man. People get sick,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
and yeah, you know, I'm gonna say what. If your wife or husband gets sick and he can't do some certain things or she can't do some certain things, does that give you the right? Is that an excuse?
Mm-hmm.
You got some lustful desires that you need to check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody because I got 2 or 3 pointed at myself.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to figure out how we can justify our actions. But I think Curtis said, it's time out for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't blame nobody but yourself. We got to get this thing right. And the only way that we can get it right is to line up with the word. We can only apply. It's good to be a hearer of the word, but it's better to be a doer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good
So
deal.
if somebody goes out and does something and you blame somebody else, you can't even blame the devil. Because if you have temptation, there is a plan for you set in order for you to have room to escape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
You got
good.
a time, especially if you're a Christian. You
Mm-hmm.
may not listen to the Holy Ghost, but you can't get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
We present the Holy Ghost like he a it, and it's not a it. He's a person that talks to you. With your crazy self, you just don't listen
Mm-hmm.
because you think you know everything.
Think got all the
You got
sense.
excuses.
Mm.
We don't have no excuses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
We
good.
just got to heed. That's it.
Donna, you on the road this morning, brother? You on the road this morning, Frank? What's on your heart?
You know, I love the fact that we all came out and put the onus where it belongs. Because once we accept responsibility, then it will make you will be accountable. You know, if that's the one thing about putting the blame on somebody else, there's no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And Raheem, a lot of times when people have called in and slipped and said different things, and you've had to remind them, wait, hold on, man. You know, this is a Christian broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we will assume that the people who are definitely regulars are followers of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, there is a standard. There is a way that we are supposed to conduct ourselves. And unfortunately, that way that we're supposed to conduct ourselves is not always going to fit what you want to do. We don't have scriptures like that says, well, okay, now read this because this is going to let you do whatever it is that you want to do. They don't apply. And then the thing about it is, guess what? It's not going to help anybody else. See, we're literally the light of this world so that God can present us. So other people are drawn to him. So they can come to know him. There's steps in this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what does what he put light on look like? What do you look like? I remember telling my daughter once, I had one of my partners drop her off. I had Rashid drop her off at work. And he called me. He said, "Hey man, I know you were gone before your daughter left to go to work, but did you see what she had on today?" I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Dude, have a conversation with her." So I called her. I said, "Baby, what did you wear to work today?" And she said, "Oh, well, why, Daddy?" And we had a conversation, but here's the conversation that I had with her at the end of it all. I said, "Sweetie, not only did God make you a promise, but he made some man a promise. And if you're out there not looking like the promise, he could see you and you don't look like what God promised him."
Mm-hmm. 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 That's good.
What do we look like? What do we look like when people look upon us? Do we look like the promise? We wonder why, those blessings aren't there. Do we look like, do we sound different than what it is that resource is somebody who's going to sow into your business or invest in you, or that man or that woman who's called into your life? If you're not looking, sounding, and moving and flowing like that promise, you're going to continue to move through life and struggle.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Let's go to Anna. What's on your heart, Anna? Anna, you're muted.
Okay. Well, I said yes, sir. And then I was saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of great points that you guys are making. But I am one of the women who supports the Me Too movement. I will say this, and this is a quick story of a situation that happened to me at a job. I give no one, I'm wearing black loose pants, okay, and a long sleeve polo type shirt. I had an employee that came up to me after work hours. I was actually cleaning my car. They came up to me and they were like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "I'm good. How are you?" He tried to slip me his phone number and he said, "Well, while I'm at work, I feel the tension between you and I." So I look at him and I said, "Tension? What tension?" And Leonard, Raheen, I've worked individually with you guys, so thank you, and I respect you guys for being respectful. I will say that, and everyone I have dealt with has been very respectful. But with that being said, so I'm like, what kind of tension did you feel? Because I was just curious. I'm like, what did I do? Because I keep my distance. I do social distancing even when there is no social distancing, And he said, "Well, I just got these vibes." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Let me correct you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you no reason to even assume that." I said, "Don't you have somebody in your life? Because I know I do. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand what would make you even go there. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? What would make you even think that?" And then he's like, "It's just this sensation that I felt." I said, "That's what you felt. That's not what I felt. That's not." And anybody, you guys you fellas can back me up on this. I always keep my distance from any man whom I work with, and I'm very respectful. I'll ask you if you need anything or whatever. Even if we eat at the studio, whatever the case may be, I do keep my distance. I might say hello. That's about it. But I was like, what kind of temptation? So can nobody tell me that it's every single woman, because I gave that man no reason. If we're working by a register and I'm trying to show you how to do some work at a register and you're taking that as temptation, you are lusting over a woman, because it had nothing to do with me. I didn't do a darn thing. Okay. So it's not only women, and I want you guys to know, and that's why I'm such a huge supporter of the Me Too for women and for men, because it can happen to men as well, as you guys have heard that fellas has said on here as well, because women can be as as disgusting or worse, you know, and I do understand that. But in my case, I was like, what is that? Where did that come from? So I handed him back his phone number. I said, I have no interest at all. You know, I don't know where you got that. Needless to say, he ended up leaving the job like 2 weeks later.
Embarrassing. Of this. Leonard, what's on your heart, man? Because she made a point that she said, you know, it's not always what the woman does. And you made a point a few minutes ago, and you was talking about, because you work closely with a lot of women, that some of them can, and not all. You know, you got some out there that, you know, like Anna, man, is doing the right things, but you do have the element where they can be messy. What do you say to that, Leonard?
I mean, you just have to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it ain't too many chances I have had the opportunity where I can say someone made me do something.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I don't live on that, in that world, you know. But I don't make no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care for this, these, I don't know. Well, I don't have a problem with feminism or anyway. That's for them if they want to live that way, this, that, and the other. But one, I don't make up excuses either. It's never the fact that I don't appreciate women or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just inappropriate, and that's not the place for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you know, where I come from. I let all the women know that I'm in touch with or what have you. Because I've been married so long, it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
They know my wife. My wife has met them, usually my good friends anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out don't crap around where you, how does it go? Where you work?
Yeah. I know. I can't exactly.
Good.
That's not it, but it's something like that.
And right, something like that. And so one also, I never wanted to endanger my livelihood.
Mm-hmm. Don't get your. I know one of them say, don't get your money and honey from the same place.
Something like that.
So
it was always, you know, you have to set yourself up. And I tell people with all things, there's this power of no.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I started working on it back when Nancy Reagan did the Just Say No campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can train yourself to get more reward from the no and make that a habit, that helps a lot with temptation and resisting things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one, even if someone, I mean, think about it. You're a man. I'm a man.
Mm-hmm.
A woman blatantly throws herself at you. You have to say no.
Yeah.
And you have to teach yourself to get gratification from the no.
And then I'm glad you said that, man, because I've always been.
Anna. I'm trying to be mature, and Anna's trying to make me laugh.
See, and
you know what? I'm laughing in a
hold on, Anna. One of the things, man, about myself, and I've always been weird like this, Leonard. I never wanted the ones that was real easy. I never wanted them, man. Now make me work a little bit. Make me work. Let me be the chaser.
Well, if you eat enough, you get full.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Anna. And Frank, coming to you next.
And so with Leonard, what he said, I applaud him, because it takes what I call a man to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why women are tempted. Well, those women, because it's not every woman that does that. I can be in a room with 1,000 men, and probably at 99 of them, I can't even tell you what you're wearing, because I'm not focused on that. I have so many other things on my mind, and you have to be able to work with me to know. Yes, I do joke around or whatever, but you do have to work with me to know. With both of you have actually been in a building with me to know. I probably don't even know what you guys are wearing. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a man to do that. And I appreciate to be around a man like that, because I'll give you an example. That other one that I was around, I was like, what is that? What would even make you think that anybody, I gave you no sign of anything. So I know after that, he totally avoided me. You know, I'm sure he was probably scared of a sexual harassment thing. I mean, he didn't do anything while on the job. He just, I guess he thought he could start something, you know, and I'm just like, no, you know, and he's like, I could feel the tension. And I'm like, what tension? I don't feel anything. I wasn't doing anything. I really wasn't. So,
Exactly.
and I've been in these situations, like I'll say, I've been around Donald. Donald was very respectful. I haven't been around Kurt, but I've been, and Frank, I've never met him personally, but I've been around many of you guys. You guys do not do that stuff. And you can feel when somebody's got that type of personality and you just push away from them. And I want to say this again, and I want to say this to the listening audience in case you guys ever do have to work with DKM Media Group and Associates. I've never worked with a panel of men thus far, because I haven't met everybody. Thus far, as the ones that I have met that are actually at the studio mostly, that respect women for who you are. You don't have to worry about Me Too movement. You don't have to worry about anything. Of course, don't give yourself extra attention, because I would say that with anywhere that you go. Don't give yourself extra attention. You know where you're at. You know how to dress wherever you're at, to dress appropriately. And I'm not saying you can't wear whatever. I'm just saying that, as a woman, you know what's appropriate and inappropriate for what you're doing. So with that being said, the men I have dealt with within DKM Media Group and Associates, and I really appreciate you fellas, I don't think, unless I missed something, they've even looked at me. And that's I appreciate it, because it's not that feeling where you guys are telling me I felt the tension between you and I. No, there was no tension.
That is so, and that's so corny.
Yeah.
That is just so corny.
He was just trying to pick up a hit up line or whatever, so I was just like, whatever. There was no tension. You can have your number back. I'm not even worried about whatever you're talking about. Yeah. So anyways, with that being said, we do have a lot of things going on within DKM Media Group and Associates, but it's somewhere where you can feel safe, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I just wanted to say that. And thank you, Raheen, because I know you're the lead person on this, for making sure that happens. So that's
absolutely. Absolutely. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Bishop.
Morning, Bishop.
Hi, Bishop. I met Bishop too.
Man, you came in kind of slow there, didn't you?
Hey, man, I don't want to jump on Frank's time, because you said you were gonna let Frank dig out the answer.
He does that to me, Bishop. I'm glad you pointed it out, man. I love you, man. Thank you, brother.
Where is my mute? Where is my mute button? Where is my mute? Where is my mute button? My God, somebody must have moved my mute button. Somebody must have came and got it. No, but the reason why I did it, because when we have,
I don't know when I'm on the video.
Oh Lord, there go another muter.
Where did she come from?
Exactly. Nowhere. But Bishop, what's on your heart? You've been listening to the conversation that we've been having, man, and I'm asking the question: who is responsible when someone cheats? Is it the person that cheated, or is it the person that's been holding back for a long time? And who is actually responsible? Who do you say is responsible, Bishop?
Well, the person that cheated is responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You should take control of your spirit. There is no reason, if you're in a committed relationship, whether the wife is not in the spirit or mood of providing what you need sexually, then you should be able to hold out, find out what's going on, work with her, and then maintain your good, because you don't want your good to be evil spoken of.
Mm-hmm.
And just hold out. It'll be all right after a while. There's no need to go to a situation. I think you, somewhere along the way, with a week or so ago, there's something that was posted. If a man is losing his lower extremities or his strength, and you're in a relationship, and he tell you, would you want him to let you go out and have a relationship, or would you bear the burden of what's going on in the relationship or the situation?
You get into my next alley. See, there's another road. I'm going to make a left turn on that road a little bit. Don't go ahead of me now. Don't go ahead of me.
Well, I ain't gonna try to go ahead. You had already put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going back to what you had put out, because I thought it was a great question, because if I cannot at this moment, what are you supposed to do? So you're supposed to maintain your spirit, keep yourself under subjection. The commitment is to the relationship, not to the physical want or physical need. And so now you as a person, you have to take responsibility and acknowledge your wrongdoing. I know everybody's been paying attention to the Will and Jada situation, and the guy came out, and now she has to backpedal to explain why she did what she did. Will, being a great man and a good husband, is willing to let bygones be bygones, dismiss the situation. But at the end of the day, she took ownership. And that's what you have to applaud, a person taking ownership of what they did.
Yeah.
The justification of doing it may be fair in her mind and right in her mind, but it may not be right in the partner's mind.
Exactly.
So that's what you really have to pay attention to.
Exactly. Leonard, what's on your heart?
Of course, the bishop always gives great advice. I mean, that's what that is what is appropriate. But like I said before, nothing happens by accident. I don't understand how people wind up naked screwing. I don't understand how that really works. And everybody that tries to say, well, should the person be responsible? The person who is responsible in a relationship is the person who does the cheating. Now, it may be wrong for the spouse to be withholding, but the person that's doing the cheating is still responsible for that. So you can't sit there and, we go back and forth about who's right or who's wrong. And then we just had the situation where Will and Jada was bearing their soul. We know they are immoral individuals anyway, and they live a certain way. It wasn't so much about adultery at all between those two. She went past the boundaries of what had been agreed upon. So people set boundaries and things like that. And I think that's more so because of their relationship and who it was and how that came about. Had it been more in line with what both of them may have had agreement about is the issue, not so much the adultery. So let's not get it twisted like these people are concerned about adultery, because they're not. That never was the premise of their relationship. It was never based on what do you call it when you just have sex with one person? Monogamy. It was never based on monogamy. They were very open about that.
Okay.
Like a lot of people are, open about these quote open relationships, and they have certain rules around them between the couple, and for each his own. However, we're not going to act like half of the kings that y'all praise and worship for their valor and their strength and being men of God had several concubines. So this issue of what can and wouldn't, it has happened always. People have made arrangements for it, even to get around the Bible. They did this. Well, one, if I can't fornicate, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna marry everybody. And if women are property anyway, I can own as many of them as I want. And one, it was always about breeding and all these other things that came about within the context of what we call adultery. So
let me do this. Let me do this, Lico. You putting a lot out there, man. We're gonna spoon feed them, little. We ain't gonna use. We're not gonna spoon feed them. But my thing.
Hey, go ahead, Raheem. I just wanted to tell you that I merged Rashid in because he just happened to call me.
Okay. Rashid, what's going on? What's going on? I want to go to Christy. Christy, I know she's probably at work right now. So, Christy, what's on your heart?
I love my brother Leonard, man. He be putting it out there, and Bishop. Oh my God, y'all are on it, because it is, in talking about the entanglement situation. Like I told y'all yesterday, that was a beautiful business plan, because they had an open marriage from the very beginning. And this question here, when we're talking about, is not, because there's a lot of people that practice open marriages. Just put that out there. But those people that do practice that, it's like like I said, there's rules of engagement. And once that rule is broken, then that's when this type of stuff happens. And we do have to understand that concubines and all that stuff was part of the biblical days. So it is on it. And you have to take responsibility for your own action. Can't nobody make you do nothing. I'm like, Leonard, You ain't just wake up and just fall up into a Kool-Aid. You ain't just wake up and fall up in it. I mean, it took it took some things. And one other thing I want to say, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Men, you have to realize that women cheat differently. And when a man cheats with a woman, it may not mean nothing. It may be just sex, or it may be something just I just did because. Women have an emotional attachment, and it's an emotional affair. And it can be an emotional affair of conversation. It can be an emotional affair of, hugs and different things. But it doesn't have to be sexual, though. A woman can be emotionally attached to a man, and thereby leads to a sexual encounter because that's what he's wanting, and she doesn't want to lose that emotional attachment. So women are more emotional in what they do than
Christy,
men are. Men can
Christy,
feel around the way, girl.
Christy,
like,
you got Leonard. Christy, you got Leonard shaking. You got Leonard shaking his head over there. You got Leonard shaking his head.
But Leonard I can't put it on blast, but Leonard know what he used to be, so he understands what I'm saying.
Okay. Hold on, Christian. Let me pull some more people. What's going on, brother? How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm great, man. How about yourself?
Hey, doing good. Asking a question. Who is responsible when someone cheats? Who is responsible when someone cheats? Is it the person that actually cheated or the person that's been holding out for months on end and that person had a moment of weakness and stepped out? Who's responsible?
Well, the first person responsible is the person that actually cheated. I don't know what's been said up until now, but I think it's weak to blame my cheating on my partner because I'm the one who did it. They didn't force me to do it. At the end of the day, forget the end of the day. At the beginning of the day, at the dawn of the day, at the beginning of the marriage, before you make those vows, before you make that decision to get married, you should already have counted up the cost and understand even worst case scenarios. By the time you make vows that say good times and bad, you need to consider bad. You need to consider worse. You need to consider sickness. You need to consider those things before you enter into those vows. That is your responsibility as a human being, entering into that covenant that you entered into with God about that person. And so when you tell God that I'm going to be faithful to this person regardless, then you need to be ready to be faithful to that person regardless. So if they're mistreating you, that does not give you a license to just break those vows because you promised from the beginning good times and bad. Good times and bad. So to me, it's low integrity, it's low character.
Hey, she hold on 1 second. The caller that just called in, mute your line because you got a lot of background noise going on. The caller that just called in, mute your line for me. Mute your line. We'll come back to you in just 1 second. There you go. Sorry, but go ahead, She.
Yeah, I think it's low integrity. I think it's low character for you to indulge simply because your husband or your wife indulged or mistreated you. Now, I'm not saying that they're the only one at fault because there is some responsibility on the part of the wife or the husband. The responsibility is a partnership. There's some culpability there, but I just don't want to lose sight of the responsibility of the person that actually cheated. I think they're the most responsible. But then we should consider certain things that we do things that can hurt our partner and lead them to having these thoughts. So we should be about serving one another and making sure that we are trying our best to please that other person and not drive them to that place. But whether they're driven there or not, it's their fault. They made the decision to go.
Okay. And I could agree with that, but at the same time, I know what you're saying because both of them I think both of them have a responsibility in it because that's sticky. That's sticky. Anna's shaking her head.
Let me tell you something. If If my wife cheats on me, this is me. My wife cheats on me. I'm looking at me. I'm looking at me. What could I have done differently? What do I need to adjust? How can I help her? How can I love her through what she's dealing with? And then really examine myself and try to figure out if I'm doing something off that I could change to do differently. But make no mistake about it, the main person that the issue is on is the person who actually cheated. I am coming in a support role. My role is one of support as her partner, but not the one that's mainly culpable for that infraction.
Okay, hold on, Sheet. I got another caller. I want to touch this other call as well. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Brother Rashid. Yeah, this Mr. Muldrow. I'm calling from. I'm in Cali right now.
Okay, now what's your name? I'm sorry.
Laverne.
Hey, Laverne, what's going on?
Truck driver.
Yes, sir. I know who he is.
What's going on?
Laverne, let me ask you a question, man. When someone cheats, who's responsible for that cheating? Is it the person that cheated or the person that's been holding out for months on end?
Okay, let me come to you because I'm a godly man, so I'm gonna come to you from a godly aspect. Both. First of all, like the brother just said, the individual who cheated, he's responsible. But then let's go back. I'm going to quote biblically to you. The Lord says for the husband and wife to not defraud one another unless it's with consent for a time and a season. And afterwards, with prayer and fasting, then afterwards, let them come together again, whereby Satan doesn't tempt you. Okay, the man, me, and this has worked for 19 years in my marriage. This principle right here. Me and my wife, we render due benevolence unto each other. We make love to each other, okay? And then we go into prayer and fasting, and then we come together again. And by doing this, I keep and she keeps all unnecessary, stupid ills that would probably try to attack our marriage. Women and men, all right? Both are responsible. But let me tell you something. That woman, I know a woman's worth. That woman, my wife, helps me with temptation, because temptation does come. And one temptation that is common to man is another woman, sex. But my wife, she helps me. She helps me by making love to me. She doesn't defraud me. All right? So we both play a part in it. My wife, she helps me not to cheat. Because whenever I want benevolence, but
okay. I think the brother, he's actually traveling, so I think we might have lost him for a second. But let me go to Kurt. What's on your heart, brother? Hold on, Laverne. Go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, nothing, man. You can let Laverne continue. I'm listening.
Okay. Laverne, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Okay, yeah, but like I'm saying is, a woman, my wife, she helps me not to cheat. Not saying that I would, but she makes it more easier for me not. Whenever I want to turn to my wife, that's all I got to do.
Absolutely.
But the question, yeah, we both.
Okay. Hold right there for a second, Laverne. I want to pull some more people. Bishop, what's on your heart? Bishop, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. You know, we have to unmute this thing. And what was said, man, and was great. I sit back and think about my wife and I celebrated 35 years of marriage, 40 years of being together. And our entire relationship has not always been cake and cream, but we have had a good relationship, and we're still together today because we take out time to communicate with one another. If I do something or have done something that was ignorant, I take responsibility of my ignorance and first to apologize and or repent from it. Marriage is an institution that God ordained, and when people get into it, they need to think about it before they do it.
Yeah.
Don't say I do just for the gown and the cake and the pictures. Say I do for the long haul. Because once it's said and done, when you say I do and I will, you're supposed to mean what you say.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anybody ever read Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter, it clearly says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Don't let your mouth cause your flesh to sin. And sometimes we let our mouth say stuff that we are not really willing to commit to. So at the end of the day, my brother, every relationship should go under the premise of saying, hey, I want this thing to work. I'm going to commit myself to you so that we can have a very happy relationship together. And forsake all others, as I said I would.
Good deal. Let me go to Anna. Anna, and then after Anna, Leonard coming to you. Anna, what's on your heart? I'll mute your line there, Anna.
You know, I really like what Laverne, correct? Is that his name? Raheen?
Yes.
Anyways, I really liked what he was saying. I hope I got the name right. I really liked what he was saying because they keep any type of temptation away from their marriage.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I don't believe there's an excuse for anybody cheating, period. There's no excuses. Oh, she did this. Oh, she did that. No, it was in your heart somewhere. It was in your heart to do it, whether it was with that woman, in some cases that man, whatever happened, that is on you. That is not on your spouse. Because in a lot of cases, I was actually in a relationship where my spouse did not like holding hands in public, did not like kissing, did not like certain things. Did it give me a reason to go out and cheat? Absolutely not. So that's the person themselves and how they are and how they were, the demons that they fight. It's the truth. It's a spiritual war that we all fight, correct? So if that's what we're dealing with, then we need to work on that in fasting. I don't blame the other person. I'm not saying that the other person had no fault, but I don't blame the other person because I believe that if I'm the one going out there cheating, sleeping with this one, that one, that one, that one, it's me. It's not them.
That's good.
So,
That's good. That's good. Leonard, are you with us? What's
Yeah.
on your heart? What's on your heart, brother?
I'm listening. Like I said, I like listening to how the bishop explains it, and looking at a lot of different relationships and why people do this, that, and the other. It's very complex about it, especially if you have people whom are not very strong-minded anyway. And there are some people who are just more apt to play these games than others, I believe. And those are the people that usually get caught up in some mess. So we can't always, like you were talking about, well, who's to blame for this, that, or the other? Well, definitely, like the brother say, it's the person that committed the act that's to blame. Now, did the spouse or what have you contribute? Probably a little as well, but they're not to blame for it, because you could have easily sit there and tried to work that out with the other person. But I don't think you should go into marriage to, or even if you're already in a marriage, you should be doing that to lash out at the other person or to punish the other person or what have you. Because as the word says about, even if you have to put it down for a moment, do understand this is important. Women would have, women or whatever in this new light and age would make it as if they trying to teach men something and how men are just over sexual. And bro, that may be true. However, we have a text that also mentions what will happen in these situations. If you're sitting around thinking it's okay not to have sex in your relationship and the other person don't agree, you headed for a crash.
Yeah.
If you don't plan on accommodating a man, don't marry him. You be upfront about it, because why would you put that type of stress on someone? Because you know how volatile a situation this is, how people wind up dead because of it. So we look at it, you know, instead of looking at it from this old judgmental point of view, there's just an issue there that needs to be fixed. And even with anyone who has this situation, if you still love one another, you work it out. If you still love one another, you work it out. If this is the issue that keeps you all apart, then you should be apart, because the answer is sex. That's the answer. If you don't plan on doing more of it, women, you're gonna have to exit these relationships.
Let me go to let me go to Donald. Donald, let me ask you this question. If for whatever reason there's a health issue involved, and you and the young lady, and we're not personalized, but I'm just throwing it out there like this. You and the young lady hadn't had physical contact in that way in well over a year, and there's a physical situation, and she say, listen, Donald, you're my husband, I love you, I know you love me, I know you have your needs, go out there and do what you got to do, take care of your needs, I'm not gonna stop loving you, we can still be together. She give you that permission, would you do it, Donald?
I'm finna hit the road.
Huh?
I'm finna hit the road. That's nonsense. Okay, I mean,
but she's
here's what probably causes, because
now understand that she's bringing that to you out of because she loved you that much. And go ahead.
Bless her heart. Setting me up for the okie doke.
That ain't nothing but that apple in the garden.
Remember what? Remember when Abraham had that problem? Now it was a blessing that came out of it, because here come Ishmael.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can set yourself for the okie dokie after a while, because here comes Sarah later on and say, get that woman out and that child out of here. Get him out of here. Because you're causing confusion in the household. We see you can't get around. You can't get around scripture. You can set up any avenue you want. It's in the word. And they're there for an example, so that you won't make the same errors. You can go out there with your crazy self if you want to. Look at the drama. And I thought about two people, David and Joseph.
Yes.
Joseph had good sense. David, even though that we brag on him being the apple of God's eye,
he was a whore.
You know, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm careful of how I talk about David, because of what is said about David. God knew David's heart. But David had a wife, had some wives, but he saw, and look at the extreme that he went to. He knew who that woman was, and he knew how faithful her husband was to him. And he went to go get that girl, because he was the king. So if he bidded anybody to come, they was coming. He lays with her, and it's a long story, so y'all know the story. But he manipulated the situation, and he had a wife. He had some wives. Joseph had enough sense. He had everything that the king had to his exposure, to his access to everything. But he told the woman, I got everything but you. How could I do this thing? And he had enough sense to sometimes I do a lot. I will see you. Don't make it. Let me say this to women that I've already seen. I see you, but I ain't going that route. No, ma'am, no, sir. I got enough problems. I had enough problems. And I'm saying that because it's in the word. Joseph, evidently, not only was he attracted to her, she must have been attracted too, because she was the queen.
Yeah.
But he said, nah, I ain't going to be able to do that one now. I can do anything the king wants. I'm supposed to be serving in the kingdom, but I'm finna run.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any one of you that probably listening, and the brothers, We need to have a Joseph-like mentality.
Mhm.
Run, leave your coat, let him ride on you. If what you do gets you in trouble,
Mhm.
what God has given you will get you out.
Exactly. Frank, what's on your heart, brother?
I thought you forgot how to say my name. You should say Frank. No, I'm just playing with you, man. Listen,
Mhm.
I don't want to represent myself incorrectly because I'm always, telling men on this broadcast when we were on Real Men Being Men, when something comes about, I always put the onus on the set man. But the one thing in this topic, and I want Anna to understand this, is that understand, like you've been hearing a lot of the men saying here lately, that women play a role to this too. They're not all women are doing these things. Not all women are tempting men, but there's a lot of women. And the one thing is so important for women to understand this, because it is the bearded women, it is the wise women that need to get these women that are out of control under control. It is, it's time out. A lot of men fall into trouble trying to counsel women that are loose. They're trying to mentor women. And you get in trouble. Come on over, I'm gonna pray for you, or we're gonna no, that's not where I should be. That's the job of the women, the bearded women, the wise women of the church that should be pulling these women aside, these women that are dressing inappropriately, that are tempting men, that women really don't like to do that. But you need to challenge your sisters. I remember right in front of my wife, I had this woman that she was the acquaintance of both of us, shake my hand and take her finger and rub the palm of my hand while she's shaking my hand. And I had to ask, I think it was Rashid, what was that? What was that about? What? He's like, no, that is. I was like, no.
Maybe that was the sign.
Oh, and he like, huh? And what did he say?
That was a sign, huh?
Yeah, and he explained to me, what that was. That was I want you. I'm available for you if you want me. Right in front of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashid, are you still on the phone?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I remember.
Okay. All right. So I want to say this for one reason, because I think things that are spoken are very powerful. And it was applied because I was saying that women need to control themselves. That I was probably weak and I'm out here looking. But because me and Rashid walked together, and I haven't talked to Rashid today at all. He just happened to call me while we were on the broadcast. I want you to explain to them, Rashid, what the no second look rule is.
Okay. May I, Raheem?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, it's the rule that I admire, and I've been trying, and I struggle with, admittedly. But Frank introduced this rule to me that man, I've been trying to master this thing for years. But the no second look is simply this: you look once because you can't help but look once. That first look, once you recognize that woman is fine, or that woman is appealing, or she's attractive, okay. Now comes the self-control. You have to make sure that you fight with everything in your power and trust God to give you grace to not look again.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's when the battle starts. After you look that first time, okay, you get that. That's your mulligan. But that second look, that's when you're entering into temptation, into sin. Because you that second look is deliberate. Mm-hmm. You got some thoughts on that second look. So you try to avoid that second look with everything that you got.
Absolutely, absolutely. As Curtis,
You know, I'm gonna add. Yeah.
Yeah, I was coming straight to you. I know you. I'm rolling with you, brother. What's on your heart?
Well, I'm gonna add to the no second look rule. I'm a 50 Cent this thing like he did 48 Laws of Power, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody all the men on this panel, right, to take your vision, right? If you look at the paradigm of how your eyes is set up, your eyes is kind of set up on a rectangle, right? You can put a rectangle, you can put the corner of a rectangle on each end of your eyes and you can form a rectangle. Do not let your eyes drop below the rectangle. Don't do it. So and I have been in the pulpit and I done had a woman sitting in the front row, open her whole entire leg open and ain't had no underwear on, man. I'm trying to preach the word of God. And all I got in my face is muff. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had to listen, man. It was funny.
Hey, Kurt.
Because I bust out laughing and I had to turn
Kurt.
my back.
Kurt.
And I looked over at the pastor. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about you earlier, man. I didn't call your name, but you just let the cat out the bag, man. I spoke about you earlier, though. Didn't I, Leonard?
Right.
He
said, "Woof."
He let the cat out the bed. I said there was I had a pastor friend that was actually and I didn't tell your name though, but you just let the cat out the bag who I was talking about. So now y'all know. Go ahead. Now y'all know who I was talking about when I said that the lady was on the front row and she exposed herself. I said it in that way. But go ahead.
Right. And I turned my back because it jaded me. I'm gonna keep it real. It jaded me.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately turned my back. And you know, being me, I had to find the humor in this because I realistically, my wife is sitting all the way in the back of the church. So I realistically wanted to say what it, you know, it has to, but I turned my back and I looked at the pastor and I'm laughing and he leaned over to me and he say, I seen it too. Just let go use yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I can't with y'all. I can't. Y'all crazy.
The devil don't have no place there, Kurt. They don't have no place there. So I turned right back around and I immediately God allowed for me to immediately kind of switch the sermon to deal with that directly without having to confront it.
Mm-hmm.
But to add to the no second look rule, when a woman walk up to me, for the most part, I don't look below her shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Because I know me.
Mm-hmm.
I know me. So, and even, you know what? Even when I was single, I'm at your shoulder blades. You could be as body filled as you possibly could be. But I'm looking from your shoulder blade up, and maybe that's because I don't like dumb women. I don't like women that can't hold the conversation. I don't like women that don't put nothing inside of my brain. I don't like women that don't speak things that's tantalizing to my ears so that I can process. So to add to that no second look rule, if you can just pay attention to your rectangle and stay shoulder up, and you have to have that kind of communication because visually, I can have a conversation with any person on this panel without the utterance of sound. Mm-hmm. We can talk without me even having to say a word. And it's been times, I remember me and Raheem was at a meeting. Raheem came to a meeting for me, and the guy was talking this fracking-knackle bullcrap. And Raheem just looked across the table, and I could tell that Raheem was telling me, okay, Kurt, he running game.
Mm-hmm.
Raheem could look at me and tell that I was saying, right, I got him. Don't worry about it. We'll talk when we get to the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a conversation you can have just up here. It don't have to be down there. And it's a hard thing to do because every once in a while, as a man, you find yourself, you know, you it's like Rashid said,
got it.
You still battle with that.
Wrap it up, Curtis.
But I just I just find that as my that's my go-to. If I think a woman, if I see a silhouette and it looks like too tantalizing to me, okay, I'm lifting up to my rectangle, and that's what I'm paying attention to.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me do this. I want to
That's
pull.
just how I get.
Okay, I want to pull Bishop in. After Bishop, we're going to Christy. Bishop, what's on your heart?
Kurt said something, man, and I like it. Simply because if a person cannot have a decent conversation with me, then it allows me to understand their level of understanding as it relates. I'm just like any man. I think women are beautiful and or attractive. I have a beautiful and attractive wife. There's no need for me to take my mind any place else. In this life, I've experienced women coming after me. They demonstrated, and I was very forthwith and said, "Hey, look, I'm not interested in a relationship." Generally, everywhere I go, I take my wife with me. Not because I don't have control of my spirit. I just like my wife to be with me when I go to different places. I can't stop anybody from being attracted to me. And being a man, I am attracted to women, but I'm more attracted to my wife. At the end of the day, the no means no and yes means yes. I don't fall on my back saying no. And I always tell the women, don't fall on your back saying no. And your mind saying yes, and then you find yourself in an uncompromised situation that you have to give account to down the road.
I love that, Bishop.
To communicate with a person that has a very strong level of understanding that we can relate. And we can be friends all day long, every day. We can talk about the Lord, we can talk about politics, we can talk about relationships. As long as we don't cross that barrier and find ourselves, I don't care how good we are, doing something we ain't got no business doing.
Absolutely.
And in life, I'm gonna tell you, I've experienced a whole lot. Been a long way. I told somebody one time, I said, my name is Craig, not Joseph. So don't try me. And I ain't gonna try you. But the reality is we are who we are. And the conversation that these men are having and the women are having, I heard Anna, I want to say this. She was speaking earlier about, somebody that I guess they have had a misconception. Let me tell you, my experience meeting Anna, she don't do nothing. She don't flaunt herself. She is an attractive woman, but she ain't trying to catch nobody. If anything, like she said, she's trying to run from you. She'll shake your hand, say, hey, till you have a conversation. If she is uncomfortable, she's going to get the heck out of the way.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we admire about her as a person, because she ain't going to mess with somebody else's home. She ain't going to mess with her. She's a smart woman.
Absolutely.
So I want to give her praise today.
Absolutely. Good deal. Good deal. Christy, what's on your heart? And we have a caller. Hold on. We're coming to you next. Christy, what's on your heart?
Just listening at work. I can't talk.
Okay. Good deal. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Betsy from Massachusetts.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'll say it one more time.
That's my best friend.
What?
I love you, lady.
Okay. Okay. Now, what's her name?
I love you too, Mama.
What's her name?
Betsy.
Betsy. That's right on.
Hey, Betsy. How you doing, Betsy?
Good. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Doing well.
Sorry for calling late. I wasn't feeling too good.
Well, I'm glad you.
But listening to this conversation, it reminds me of the fact that women aren't too good as well. You have women that sometimes they'll act like they're your best friend and talk in your ear and tell you what a bad man you have. That your man should have done this, your man should have done that. They wouldn't tolerate this, they wouldn't tolerate that. And the minute something happens between you and your boyfriend, husband, whatever it is, your partner, and you end up splitting up, they'll be the first one to throw themselves at your man. So here they are, in your ear telling you what that he's good, that he's not good enough for you. But the minute you guys break up, they're throwing it at him, trying to get him. So if he wasn't good enough for you, why do they want him?
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. Wow, that's what that is.
May I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Anna.
I wanna correct this because I just said she's my best friend. Betsy knows I have never, and I will never in a million years. I don't even look at her man or not her man in that sense, or anybody she's dated in the past. she's not talking about me. She's talking about other people she's dealt with.
She
She
was
knows that
describing
that's
them
a line
hussies.
I would never
No, I
cross.
once had a friend that I thought was a good friend. Now, this was years ago. And the minute me and him broke up, she hurried up and threw it at him.
Yeah.
How you say hussy in Spanish?
So sometimes you shouldn't listen to your friends. The point is, you shouldn't listen to some people that are your so-called friends. Have a relationship, and if you're comfortable with that relationship, you love that man, don't listen to what outsiders have to say.
Good
Because
deal.
sometimes those outsiders are the ones that want them.
Have other motives.
Exactly.
They have other
Exactly.
motives.
Let me keep this thing going.
Exactly.
Hold on, everybody. Let me keep this thing going. I want to go right now. Let me go to her. You've been quiet for a minute, brother. What's on your heart?
Man, hold on. I got something on my heart. I gotta get out of my wife's way for a minute. She's on the call. So give me like 2 seconds.
Okay.
All right. So
Now that's trouble. You have to get out the wife, man.
Christy, mind your business.
Exactly.
First of all, let me say, Bishop must be the man, because he was talking about all the women that's on him. I'm like, whoa, that was he must be the man. But the thing that I was thinking about was the balance. I'm glad you came back to me because I wanted to talk about the balance. I think Bishop is the one who broke it down in the scriptures, who talked about do benevolence and defrauding one another. That's the balance to what I said, because I wanted to highlight the fact that the fault belongs to the person who committed the infraction. But let's not lose sight of the fact that there's also an infraction that's being committed when you're defrauding your partner. That is not something that God smiles upon. It's actually frowned upon. We should definitely make sure that we're taking care of our partner in that fashion as much as possible. And like the scripture said, one of the main reasons is to make sure that they're not tempted. And so when you withhold from your partner, you're asking for trouble. So a lot of times it's ladies who fall into that category. Believe it or not, I've heard of situations where men do it as well. But whoever does it, it's not a good practice. Make sure that if you're married, that the bed is undefiled, and God expects you to express that oneness and to be intimate with one another on a regular basis. Make sure you're loving on your partner mentally, psychologically, physically, in every way possible, so that we can avoid those types of pitfalls, man. So that was the thing that was on my heart. I think it was something else. There was another question that you posed that I had a thought on, but I can't remember what that question was. I hope you can come back to me.
Absolutely. Let's keep this thing going. Leonard, what's on your heart, bro? Talk to me.
I'm glad we're talking about, we should really talk about the consequences of things. Because that's what matters the most, is that you think about the consequences first. That should help heal a lot of, these attractions you have with people. Because you think about it, everybody you see, really, that's not a problem with the other person. That's a problem with you. I know, like I told you about one woman before that was on my Facebook, and she was very Christian. I believe she was, one of those folks, she's a prayer team person and blah, blah, she's a minister and all this. And one thing I noticed about her is her preoccupation with thinking that someone else thought she was so fine. So we were doing a talk show or something of that nature. And you know how you take pictures and everything?
Okay. Hey, Leonard, hold 1 second. We got a lot of background noise coming from somebody on the phone line. Everybody mute your line so we don't have the background noise, so we can hear exactly what's being said at the moment. Everybody mute your line for me, please. Somebody got a lot. Go ahead, Leonard.
And we have to understand that a lot of people, like I said, you know how we look at it. We look at it from strictly this Christian perspective. And come up with things, that and the other, about, as Christians, this, that, and the other. But there are many people who are not, or who may not be Christians, who are very strong in this area. So you have to make sure that, you know, I truly believe in what the Bible says: abstain from all appearances of evil.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, when a lot of folks were laughing about, well, you can't just say no. Well, how else does it go? How else does it go if you don't just say no?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it should be abrupt. It should alarm you almost. You should get to
Mm-hmm.
the point where it alarms you. It's like I told one young lady, because everyone was attracted to her. I said, a lot of times I look at women like pictures on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to touch you or nothing. If you're a pretty girl, you're a pretty girl. But don't make it a preoccupation like this one minister lady. And
Yeah.
at the end of the interview or what have you, you know, we were taking pictures. And she made the comment, you know, we were standing next to each other taking pictures. Oh, I see your ring. I don't want your wife to think nothing going on. Why would my wife think something was going on?
Mm.
See, and then, you know, that was one thing I didn't really care for her about.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next thing you know, she said, oh, I seen something ungodly on your Facebook page.
Wow.
This, that, and the other. So I know immediately that was a person that I wasn't meant to associate with. As nice as she may have seemed, I just didn't care for her personality that way. Because it seemed like she thought she was so fine and that everybody had no choice but to desire her or whatever. Women are a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fine women walking in and out of here every single day. You ain't the only one. You ain't so fine where somebody just going to throw away their whole life just to touch you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And as men, we need to quit giving that power to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's an uncommon conversation for people, but that's how I view it.
Mm-hmm.
If you allow a woman to put you in that position, you give up your power, you'll lose everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Drop over hat. Drop over
And
hat.
that is so real, man.
Mm-hmm.
That
Absolutely.
is so real. And I'm just gonna say it from speaking from personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, man, I done lost everything. Everything. When I tell you everything,
everything.
Everything. Reach through this phone. Y'all will reach through this phone, and the next thing I'll be saying is I can't breathe. If I told y'all truly what I have lost.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes we can get so caught up in the action of what men do that we never really truly even pay any attention to the cause. It's very, very easy for us to blame one or the other. It's very, very easy for me to blame a man or for me to blame the woman. I went to my first marriage counseling with the elder that's marrying us yesterday. And I will never forget what this man said to us yesterday. And he started out looking at me, but then his attention was directed sternly at AJ. And he said to both of us, he said, if you two are going into this marriage selfishly, with any selfish thought, I cannot and will not marry you because you have removed God from your marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. That's good.
And man, when I tell you that thing hit home, it hit home only because I had to immediately evaluate, well, I had to allow myself to understand, which I already had an idea, but it was God's confirmation for me that, you know what, this marriage ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with God's purpose and God's order. It has nothing to do with you, Kurt. You're just a vessel. You're just something that's here to complete the circle, to complete the process that God has laid out. And through you too, God is going to allow for people to see an ordained situation that's ordained by Him.
Yeah, good deal.
So it was real. It was my first one, and it was real. Even as a believer and knowing the things that I know, it was real eye-opening for me. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, El. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Good deal, good deal. Let's keep this thing. Frank, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, I think that a lot of times when we think about cheating, the first thing, well, when we think about depriving our spouse, the first thing we think about is sexual. But there's a lot of other things that you cannot do. Not take time to have conversation with your wife. You know, not honor her. Not provide in a way of things that you know. If you're a lazy man and you know there's things that need to be taken care of around the house, but you won't take care of them. And now she's got to figure out how to get these things done. You know, there's a lot of way to neglect a marriage that can cause the other person challenges. And we need to, you know, go before God daily, man, and evaluate, like Rashid said, to if he was to have that challenge, that he would look at himself. But I think that we should have some wisdom that we begin to evaluate ourselves before we have the problem. You know, we need to evaluate relationships that we're in or people that we allow to speak into our lives before we have the problem. You know, people that are inappropriate in their conversations, I don't have conversations with them. I see them coming, I walk away. You know some of the people that are slick in what they're saying, and they always saying things that they shouldn't be saying to a married man. I don't have conversations with them. You know, and that's because I put no trust in the flesh. You know, there's a lot of people that say, and I don't get this, where you got to know yourself. And I don't get where people think that you're weak if you realize I can't play with Bathsheba. You better know the areas of your life that are struggles. Rashid uses the word proclivity. That all of us are challenged in different areas. Some of us, it may be with alcohol. Some may be with women. Some, you know, there's different areas that all of us are drawn to. You know, there's some people that have never taken a drink in their life. That's not me.
That's certainly
I'm not
me.
that person. I can't raise my hand and say that was me. I can't say that. So I know the things that now that I've turned away from certain things that I need to stay away from, because at one point they were struggles in my life. So, and I think that when you acknowledge those things, those are the things that you're acknowledging of them really shows your maturity.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, you can't be in denial and say,
or lack of.
Man, I don't have no, I ain't got to worry about nothing. I got this all figured out. This is all just so easy. I met God bless you. That's just not my story.
Good deal. Let me do this. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Cassandra, calling from Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, the Thug Pastor. Let me go ahead and say it. Let me put it on that. Listen.
Raheem?
Yes, sir.
We said we weren't doing that no more.
Thank you.
The Thugette Pastor. Okay, the Thugette Pastor.
Pastor Green has entered the building.
Exactly. But Cassandra, I'm asking a question. Who is responsible when someone cheats? Is it the person that cheated or the person that held out for months on end? Who's really responsible? Or is it a combination of the two?
it's a combination of the two. And you know, I've had a crazy experience. When I was married, a woman I truly trusted. When I tell you, I looked up to this woman. She was a leader. I was a leader. She was one of the most anointed prophets that I had ever met. That's what I mean. The girl is used by God, and my ex-husband was very handsome, and women were always, you know, coming at him, but he always maintained, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, until later in the relationship. But he would, you know, always, he would tell me if a woman came at him, he would be like, listen, so-and-so would say so-and-so. So this particular woman, she stopped talking to me all of a sudden. I mean, we used to talk like every few days. Very good friend, I thought. And then she stopped talking to me, and I was calling her like, you know, what's going on, and blah 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 blah, and she would not give me any kind of response. I'm just backing away. I was like, you know, from what? Did I do something? Did I say something? And finally, my husband, I guess he just got tired of me, you know, trying to reach out to her to find out what happened. And he said, listen, she called me on my phone and asked me would I come over to her house. And she needed help with something, whatever. And he was like, I went over. He said, when I got there, she opened the door in a see-through nightgown, completely sheer nightgown. And he said he just turned and he walked away from her door. And he said he wanted to tell me, but he felt like we were so close that it would be an issue. Man, that thing hurt. When I tell you, that thing hurt me so bad. So it doesn't matter, you know, even if people are anointed, as we say, you got folks that they just got that flesh. I'm with Frank. You should run. When you see something, you understand what I'm saying? We should run from the very appearance of evil, because you got some folk out there that their flesh, they just want what they want. They don't care who it hurts. They don't care how it looks. And they're gonna, so for that particular incident, my husband did what he thought was best and not tell me. But I would want my husband to tell me, and thank God nothing happened. But I blame both people. It takes two to tangle, as the old folks say.
Yeah.
So it would have to be both of them making a decision to step over the line.
Good deal. Bessie, what's on your heart right now?
Yeah, it's crazy because there's some women that put up pictures on the media of their sexiness, their titties and whatever happens. I'm sorry. But they're still single. They might be beautiful and a beautiful body, but they're still single. It's like you're throwing yourself out there, but nobody wants you. That's where I agree with one person. I forgot who's the one that said it, where you can't throw yourself out there. Some men want to work for it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
Here are some women that don't throw themselves out there and have a relationship that has lasted for years. That's where some women go wrong. Nobody wants something easy. They want to work.
I'm so.
Hold on, Kirk.
I'm so glad she said that.
Okay. Hold on, Kirk. Let me I got a flow. We got about 20-something minutes. I want to touch a lot of people before I get out of here. I hadn't spoken to Bishop for a minute. Let me go to Bishop. Bishop, what's on your heart?
Okay.
No. Go. No. Bessie, you can finish your thought. Yeah, you wanted to say something else?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bishop, what's on your heart? Bishop, you there? Going once.
Yeah, I haven't tried to unmute.
Okay.
Man, you know, the conversations are so real, and this is such a vital conversation that needs to be discussed in today's society. The scripture said this: by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. I mean, he even came down to the lowest, because a woman, she flaunts herself and she's very provocative, and she catches the eyes of men through her allured behavior to draw them in. She cares less if the man is in a committed relationship, if he's married. She cares less. All she is focused on is what she wants. There are women, and this is, well, you know, this is a religious station, but there are women of character. And then there are women that don't have much character. My wife said this: you cannot take a Christmas toy and make her a housewife. Because if you don't understand what a Christmas toy is, this fella that you call Santa Claus says it every year. Oh, oh, oh.
See, Bishop said that. I didn't say that. Bishop said that.
Bishop? Bishop, Bishop, look at Bishop. You go over there and stand in the corner for a little bit, Bishop. We'll come and get you later. You go stand in that corner for a little bit over there. You got to go. No. Put the step. Go stand. No. Go stand over there in that corner. We'll come back and get you in a little. We'll come back and get you a little bit later. But right now, you need to go over there, stand in that corner, brother. You know, go on over there. Go on, head on over there, bitch. Go on, stand in that corner.
I'm glad it was Bishop and not me.
Hey,
you're welcome, Bishop.
Look at, hey, look at Bishop. You got Anna laughing so hard she over here fanning herself, man. She can't even breathe, man. Bishop, what, man? Go on over in that corner, Bishop. Go on over in that corner. She, what's on your heart? She, no. What you say? Yeah, man, look here on the phone. I couldn't hit him with the mute button. I couldn't hit him with it. But she, what's on your heart, brother?
Bishop, man, that was wow. Let me say this. There's a couple of points I want to make. Some people said some things that sparked this in me. But one, we got to let our moderation be known unto all men. And as Christians, as followers of Christ, as believers, we have to be careful not to tempt others. I think it's the way we dress and the way we present ourselves is critical. I remember a long time ago on Facebook, I had a deep discussion, basically an argument, just to be truthful, with someone's wife, because that someone was parading himself on Facebook with no shirt on, and he had a nice body or whatever, and he was getting all these responses from all of these women, and the wife liked it because of the attention that was coming to her husband. And I was just speaking of that as being problematic. You don't want to put people in that position. You know, you might want to cover yourself, and that goes for men and women. You know, the way women dress provocatively, you know what kind of attention you're seeking when you wear certain clothes. And men sometimes do the same thing with, you know, you got all these muscles bulging up out of your shirt. Put on a shirt that's gonna fit you to a place where it's not exposing those muscles like that. I mean, you know, you don't have to wear a tank top everywhere. Every shirt don't have to be a muscle shirt, you know. You know, every shirt don't have to be a.
Calm down, Christy. Calm down.
But that's appealing to the flesh. That's appealing to that flesh that we need to stay away from. And that's actually for you. A lot of these people are married. That's not for the public's consumption. That's for your spouse. So do that kind of stuff at home. But when you're in public, be appropriate. And the other thing I want to say, this flirting, we got to be real careful to not be flirts. There's a lot of Christians, and it grieves me because a lot of Christians, we act like flirting is okay. You know, look, don't touch. You know, you see them up in church having conversations and being inappropriate with conversations, and then they wonder why or how they got to a precarious position because they're doing everything that leads to it. You know, if you take hot coals into your bosom, you're gonna get burned. Absolutely. You know, so I think the scripture talks about cutting off your right hand if it offends you. If your left hand offends you, chop it off. And what that saying is, man, you got to eliminate anything that's going to be remotely close to you entering into temptation. And so if you're flirting with people and you're married, stop that. Even if you're single and you flirt with married people, stop that. It's not innocent. You know, and we got to be careful with having female friends if we got a wife. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have female friends, but we need to watch those relationships and make sure that they don't get into the realm of inappropriate. and you know, women having male friends and they got a husband. But here's the thing: you got a husband, but you got another man that you're calling your best friend. You might want to check that. You know, because actually your best friend should be your husband, and by the time you get married, those relationships should adjust, honoring that marriage. You know, so there's a whole lot of thoughts that I have in regards to that, but it's just about regulating how we are as believers and making sure that we don't fall into temptation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had been. Yeah, I definitely agree. I guess that was Rashid.
Yes.
With what Rashid said, because I mean, I've always had males as my closest friends have always been males. So I always honored, and that's one thing that I'm proud of. I've always honored their marriages to the point that, you know, he'd call me about something. That's my best guy. That was my best friend. He would call me about something. And I'd be like, "Hey, have you talked to Shirley about that?" You know what I'm saying? Because I want to make sure that he keeps that in line, even though I know he doesn't mean any harm. But you still did you talk to her about that? You know, when she's always, no, you need to talk to her about that first. And so for that reason, all the years that I've had male friends, I have never had a wife that felt any kind of way, or they never said, you know, my wife don't like her. In fact, I ended up being friends with both of them, you know, because I respect their marriage, and we have to do that. Women, if you want to maintain that friendship, who wants to break up a 20-something year friendship, you know, because the person got married? No, you want to maintain the friendship, but you want to, like Rashid said, you want to respect the boundaries of that marriage. And I've always honored that marriage, always. So, you know, we can have that, but we have to be careful. And I just, you know, I don't know. This is a great conversation. I want Leonard, for real. Leonard should be in the corner, because I've been watching before I called in, and Leonard has had me like, one time I think Leonard blocked out because he was laughing so hard. That ain't right. I was trying to say it. I'm serious. I'm serious. I was trying not to laugh out loud.
And as a matter of fact, I was going to go to Leonard and find out what's on his heart, because he, you know, he acting up real bad this morning. Between
Raheem, while we putting people in the corner, I was trying to be serious listening to Frank earlier, and he was talking about bearded women, and that's let's call mature women something different than bearded. Bearded about women. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, so basically, Frank, you go over there in the other corner. You can't be in the same corner with Bishop, because y'all gonna be talking.
Y'all putting it on me. It's not me. It's not just me. It's just, y'all are saying stuff that is so funny, and throwing little stuff in there, like bearded women, and then somebody said something about some, you know, I thought I heard it, and it just slid right by, and I was laughing.
No. You heard it. Yeah, you heard it, brother.
Chris should have been in the corner too, Raheem.
How?
Chris should have been in the corner too, talking about he saw some wolf.
And Christy was over there breathing very hard at one moment.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on this morning. Well, you did this. Well, you did that. No, well, you did.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Listen.
That corner gonna get real crowded.
Exactly.
That's a crowded corner.
Yes. So I'm not in the corner by myself. There's a lot of people over here with me.
Exactly. I asked the question earlier, and
Raheem, can I come out the corner now, Raheem?
we might let you come on out the corner. We got an eye. We got a good eye on you, though. We got a good eye on you, brother. Come on out the corner. Come on out, but we got a good eye on you. We watching you. Listen, I asked the question earlier. Lynn, I'm gonna come to you with this.
Okay.
If the person is ill and been ill for a long time, you remember the question, and he or she said, "Well, look, I know it's been a while. You know, you've been real patient. I love you, and I want you to go out there. I want you to go out there and take care of your needs that you have.
Stop
Take care
it,
of your
Anna.
needs. And take care of your needs. And they say that out of love. They say that out of love. They say go out there and take care of your needs. But it's been a year and we have not been physical. I know you have your needs.
That's the one I want to speak to. You just reminded me. That's the one I want to speak to. Please come to me on that one.
Okay.
When you get a chance.
Okay, Leonard, how do you handle that? Because she's coming to you out of love. Now you have a bond with this woman. You have a bond before God and the world. What do you say to her at that moment?
Well, do you want me to put the pillow over your head or what?
You trying to kill a woman, Leonard? Now we got another corner, Leonard.
Because just what you saying don't get me off the hook with God, so it don't matter what you talking about.
Come on.
You gonna give me permission to sin, woman? Really?
That woman you gave me? Is that what you saying?
Stop.
Okay.
You can't give people permission to sin.
You
know, so it's a choice in those situations, and people trying to make a way out for it. This is one thing that I think where, you know, it's good for Christian people to talk, because the Bible speaks in a lot of different things that are a little bit very high on this issue. And of course, you Christians don't even recognize any other relationship Jesus ever had with a female. So that's no point of reference with it at all. So you have to go about what, you know, really you're talking about rules. Adultery is a sin. That's the one clearly pointed out. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yes, sir.
But even in the Bible stories, there are several who have done it. It never seemed as if God took a blessing away from them, but he also allowed them to suffer for what they did. See, so a lot of sin, it causes us to suffer more than some others. And just because you picking and choosing and trying to come up with some type of scenario, there is no scenario that makes sin okay. So you can't give a person that permission. You know what people do, and I think we've seen one of those stories acted out in the public as well. Remember the man that was married to the journalist Miss B? She passed, I believe, from cancer as of now. But that story was B. Johnson. Was that it? But anyway, that story was where she had gotten very sick, and the lady that was taking care of her was also the side piece of the husband. And that woman was living in that house and in there with them people while the wife was sick on the bed, carrying on a relationship right there in the same house.
Wow.
Your wife can't give you permission to sin. I don't care. Because she can't ask forgiveness for you, can she?
Not at all.
Exactly. And so, you know, there is no excuse.
Exactly.
There's no excuse, but there's always forgiveness.
Let me do this. I'm gonna go to Kirk and Rashid. I'm coming to you. I'm gonna let you marinate for a few minutes because I know you got something on your heart. Kirk, what did you say to that? Kirk, you there?
What do I? Yeah, I'm right here, bro. What do I say to what?
The question I just asked about.
What exactly you want me to respond to?
The question I just asked about the permission. You don't have any idea. You don't have any idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Kirk, don't be fooling around with Raheem and mess around and have to push the date back.
No, I was listening. I would kind of be thrown, man. That's a spooky situation right there, because women are the most competitive. Women are the most competitive creatures on the planet.
Boy.
So I would just be thrown because, like, hold on, man. Like, people have motives and agendas. Like, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to push me away? Or are you genuinely, like, I would be thrown by that, man. I wouldn't know how to. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna be a man. I wouldn't even know how to respond to that in no kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. Listen, I'm gonna speak just from being a man. Ladies, babes in Christ, female babes in Christ. The truth be told, don't no real man or young man or any man that's being raised properly want to deal with you if there's no sense of accomplishment. No real man, notice I said real man or real young man being raised by a man or being raised by a woman wants to deal with you if there is no sense of accomplishment. The reason, here's the whole kit and the caboodle. The average real man wants to be with something that says, wow, I got that. I got that.
This is Pastor G. Can I answer that?
Oh yeah, who is this?
Don't know.
This is Pastor GIF.
Pastor GIF?
Adams, yeah.
Oh, Adams. Okay, yeah.
G.I. Adams.
You know,
don't.
Yes. Go ahead. Pastor Adams.
All right. So I was listening to the question. I mean, that's one of the best questions I've heard in a long time. Hall pass. That's what they call that. Nevertheless, if you think about this, we think about it with Sarah and Hagar. Sarah told Abraham, "Go ahead and do your thing," but at some point, old sister got upset with old girl and got jealous. And so I can understand saying, well, baby, I'm sick. I know you got this urge. But the word of God also says all souls are mine. But the soul that sinneth, it shall die. There's no justification for the sins because, oh, my flesh feels this way. The ultimate thing that we have to do is find ourselves from the flesh and start to get into the spirit and learn how to control. And so if we don't know how to control our urges, even though we may have it real strong, we will not be able to fulfill the purpose or the righteous walk that God has called us to because we're so caught up in the flesh. Even though the wife gave permission for it, but wife ain't God.
Yeah, come
on. The word of God clearly states that if you go against the word, that you are out of order. You can't have sex with another man and another woman and say, well, my wife said it's okay, so God must be pleased with it. No, that ain't how that works. So I think it is important to remember that even though you mean well and trying to make sure your husband is satisfied, there's going to be a looming factor behind saying, you know what? Oh man, my husband did this. Will he do it again? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. Sheed, what's on your heart, brother?
That's what I was.
Sheed?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if Curtis was done or not. I just want to. I do have something to say, but I just wanted to make sure that Curtis finished what his thought was before I say what I had to say.
Kurt,
thanks, Rashid. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I was just saying that because I try and understand. I'm not going to say that I do because I'd be lying, but because I try and understand the mindset of humanity and of women and men, and I accept the fact that women are very, very competitive. When you hear statements such as that, if you're thinking in the spirit, you should be thinking, well, what comes behind that? It's like somebody walking up to you and offering you $10 million. Hey, I'm going to give you $10 million. You'd be a fool to just take the $10 million and keep it booking because you don't know what comes with that. They might be giving you $10 million, but what's coming with that is I get every firstborn child that you have to do whatever I want to do with them. So in hearing that whole scenario, as a student of humanity and a believer in Christ, I gotta say, well, is this a wolf in sheep's clothing? You know, or am I being the shepherd that's going to lead my own flock to the wolf's den? I just, maybe that's not the proper way to process and think about this thing, but that would throw me off, bro. That would complete that. Oh my God, that would throw me off.
It'll take you aback. She.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She, what's on your heart, brother? We got a few more minutes before we get out of here.
Okay. Well, let me say this to that. First of all, life ain't fair. And let me say this also. even though we can all agree on what the right thing is to do, man, it's hard to do it, man. When you're faced with that type of proposition and you're dealing with your flesh and what you want, and you're facing never having relations again, never having entanglements again for the rest of your life because you are married to this woman who cannot accommodate you. And then this woman is saying, go ahead, I give you permission. Man, that's a lot of temptation. And so I would be disingenuous if I spoke on what I would do, but I will be very clear to speak on what is the right thing to do. What I should do is to be to resist that, because that is not of God. So I agree with what everyone else said. And I also believe that it's not something that's fair. But when you consider, so many people in life have been dealt a hand that we can consider unfair. But see, God doesn't deal in fair and unfair. It's about balance. A false weight is an abomination to the Lord. So with God, it's about balance, balancing the scales. He's a God of justice. Fairness is something that we have to contend with. There's people who were born with no arms. There are people who were born blind. There are people who have to deal with all kind of adversity in life. And it's something that, and it's not by their choice. It's just what they were dealt, the hand they were dealt. And so a lot of times we get spoiled because of the creature comforts and the blessings and the luxuries that we have enjoyed in life, that when luxuries are taken away, or even things that we have gotten used to as necessities have been taken away, then our response is automatically, woe is me. Instead of saying, like my sister, I don't remember who said it, but I think it's the pastor came in and said that we need to walk in the spirit and not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So let us not allow flesh to control our lives. And if we can practice that and make it a discipline that we are living to please God as opposed to pleasing ourselves, then it makes that thing a whole lot more bearable and a whole lot more manageable. And we can walk in the grace of God and be able to do that day by day. But man, that's a grueling task if you want to spend the rest of your life as a married man and you cannot have relations with your wife.
Yeah.
But listen, if that's what you're facing, then trust God to help you through it. And that's what you deal with. But if you decide to go out and sleep with another woman, make no mistake about it, that is not pleasing to God. That is wrong. That is sinful. And that's not what we should do.
Absolutely. Anna, you wanted to say something?
We can all sit here, and say this or that. I think when it comes to our brain, like the book said, men are for Mars, women are for Venus. I think it all turns out to be something totally different. In the case of you not having a spouse that's not able to function in that form, it is something that you took vows to do, no matter what, in sickness and health, for better or worse, till death do us part. That's it. There's no other answer. Like, if somebody came to me and told me my spouse said this, and you asked what I thought, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to look at you. And you guys know I can't hide a face. Like, what I'm feeling, my face is just going to show it. I'm working on it. But no, I don't care if you give me $10 million. $10 million, at the end of the day, my spouse is not going to be standing in front of our Father in heaven when God asks me why I did this, or Jesus is like, well, while I'm sitting there in judgment, why did you do that? Oh, because my spouse told me to. That gives me no salvation whatsoever. I'm not worried about anybody else but my answers to my Father. That's what I'm worried about. There is no explanation to that. You can have friends and not cross the line. I have friends. I have friends within the station. I have friends who have been friends of mine forever, and I have never crossed the line, and I would never cross the line. And I respect people, and I respect them for who they are. So when somebody tells me that, no, you do it because you want to. And that's all. That's where I stand, and that's where I'm going to stand forever, because you do it because you choose to, because you were lusting, to say it in a clean way. You were lusting, and that's what you wanted to do. That's that.
Christy, are you in a situation where you can speak before we get out of here?
I am definitely. I just want to touch the thing. I just want to say, about the spouse asking the other spouse to go ahead and cheat. We have to remember in Job where the wife was told, Job, why don't you curse God or die? And Job said, no, I will not do so. So he didn't listen.
Woman,
so
you
just
speak it
because
as a
one
fool.
spouse said something doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry?
No, he said, woman, you speak it as a fool. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So just because, and that's the same way that it should be said when she says something like that, you're speaking as a fool. Because again, like I said before, we let emotion play a lot of part in our life. And the emotion, and I keep telling you, women are emotional creatures. And they will always be emotional. The type of cheating a woman does is way different from the type of cheating that a man does. And it's more calculated, and it's more of feelings and different things like that.
Cheating is still cheating though, right?
It is. It's still the same cheating. I'm just saying, like, men is just a different cheating is what I'm saying. Like, men can do it unemotionally. Like, a man can go and lay down with a woman and have no feelings for that woman, not even care, get up and go on with life like she doesn't matter. But a woman is a little bit more to that for a woman. And I'm not talking about just a loose woman or we have exceptions to every rule. But I'm saying just a general woman, they're not just going to sleep just with somebody just to sleep with them. It's going to be feelings involved. It's going to be a relationship type thing. And for a man, it's different. And we have to talk about and I want to say this, we never did hit on the double standards that are out there for men and women as far as relationship wise. It's okay for a man to be out there and be a dog and mess around with so many women. That's smiled upon. And I'm not calling anyone out. Just like I say, all men look. In order for you to have something in place to do that, where you say you have the no look rule or you look only at this, that had to be a problem before. And there had to be something that you have to say to yourself, okay, I have to fix it. So when I say that all men look, all men lust, that is a true statement. Because if you are married, that's not going to stop your eyes from being able to look and see a beautiful woman.
Okay.
And it's not going to stop you from looking at this particular woman. So that's why I'm gonna finish, I promise. Okay. So that's why I say, to have that rule in place is great.
Okay. But my thing is this right here.
I agree with everyone else.
And it's 10:02, man. We done went past 10 o'clock. We say we're going to 10, we done went over. So we're going to get on out of here. I want to hit Cassandra before we get out of here. But my thing is this right here. I hear what you're saying, Christy, but I can't say that all men, we paint it with a very big brush when we say all. There are some that do. I can agree with you there. But to say all, I don't know if I would say all.
And when I say all, I say all men look, whether or not, whether all men gonna look at a woman, regardless whether you make a comment. Because I used to date a guy, and the way that he would do it, he would make me look.
Christy,
too.
we gotta get out of here.
Oh my God,
Christy,
go ahead.
We gotta get out of here. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Cassandra?
I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm here. I think the conversation gives all of us something to think about situations that may come up. I agree with, I think it was Rashid that said that if he was in, that he would have to, think about how a man would react if he could not do it forever or whatever. And his wife said, go ahead. I think that's at least a genuine thing to say, rather than saying, oh, no, I'd never agree to something like that. You don't know because you've never been in that situation. So, I just think we need to and like I said, we're not talking about what's right. We know what's right, but we're talking about what human beings might do. So the conversation was amazing. I'm glad that, that we are able to talk and laugh about, certain things, because these are real issues. They're not play stuff. That's what I love, is that we talk about the real things.
Exactly. Exactly. Leonard?
Hey, Raheem, I just wanted to say something real quick that has nothing to do with anything that we've already talked about. I want all of us to consider this. That woman is on her, say that she's really ill. And let's pray that her husband is praying for her that he is in prayer, that his faith is that God is going to heal her, right? So now she presents him with this that could take him off of his square. Now watch this, watch this, Raheem. Watch this. God may have been in a place where he was about to cause something to happen in her physical body because of the prayers of her husband. Now, she puts her husband in a place where now maybe he's not going before God the way he was, which could affect her healing. So when we talk about things that we should not do so that your husband is not to be tempted, there's so many reasons that you don't do that.
Exactly.
You could be cursing your own life.
Frank, we got to get out of here, brother.
I'm done.
We gotta get out of here. Leonard, quickly, brother, what's on your heart? We got to get out of here. Then we're gonna close out. You muted, Leonard.
For a moment there, I think I glazed over for a moment when I was listening to what was going on. But just to give people something, if you're really struggling with it, something as simple as telling yourself no. Award yourself for saying no. Whenever you tempted in that way and you say no, if you like ice cream, if you like, it's just that simple. Go get it. Reward yourself for saying no. Make it a habit until saying no to this type of temptation becomes more rewarding than saying yes.
But a pecan ice cream, boy, you got me with that one. That Briars.
Hey, just a little bit now. Don't go eating a gallon.
Man, I ain't eat no gallon, but I'll show you the half of one. But listen, this has been a great conversation, man. I definitely appreciate everybody. And I want to let everybody know that we are being broadcasted as well on our DCAM Media Group. We bring it live on there. So if anybody want to go there, they can actually see it live on DCAM Media Group as well, dcammediagroup.com. Anna, what's going on at 3 o'clock today? Can't hear you. There you go.
Sorry, I had muted myself. At 3 o'clock, if you have missed the show, you can watch it in its entirety at www.dkmmediagroupandassociates.com. Or it's mediagroup.com, right?
Yeah, dkmmediagroup.com, yes.
I keep writing it down.
Bishop, you there? Did we lose Bishop?
Yeah, you got to unmute the thing.
Okay. Hey, Bishop, that was your wife earlier?
No, that was Pastor G.
Who that?
I don't know if my wife called in.
Okay. I thought your wife had called in. Okay.
You thought my wife done what?
I thought she had called in. Okay. I thought she had called in. Okay, that's okay.
I don't know if she called in or not.
Okay. Well, listen, I need you to pray us.
I was with Pastor G. that got on, but hey.
Okay. Well, listen, I need you to pray us out, brother.
All right, we can do that. Again, we want to thank you, Raheem, and DKM Media Group and Associates, and everyone that called in. And that's part of this panel. And we want to thank God for those who listen across the nation, across the world, because we're imparting knowledge. So as we go to God at this present moment, we want to thank Him so much for DKM Media Group and Associates and all those that listen. We ask Father God if you would touch our hearts, mind. Lord God, travel with us, Lord God, as we go from place to place. But keep us anchored in your word, Father God, that we sin not against you. We thank you, Lord God, so much for all the information that we have provided through DKM Media Group and Associates, and we trust that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts are acceptable in your sight. O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Everybody will say, amen.
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 Good deal. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates to be a part of your morning. Oh, Lord, we got something going on in the background back there. We got something going on in the background. But listen, it is now 10:09. We've gone over, man. We've gone over almost, might as well say 10 minutes. Lord, see, y'all said 10 o'clock.
11. No, I'm kidding.
No. I could go ahead and tell you, ain't gonna happen. I
love y'all, but no, 11's too much for me.
Ain't gonna happen. But listen, 10:09, you're about to exit Real Men Being Men. Wow. Real Men Being Men is tonight. So y'all make sure y'all join us from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on DKM Media Group and Associates. But right now, it is 10:09. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Now we shine some of this light on you from the morning glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. You all have a great day. Love you, and take an opportunity, if you don't mind doing so, and love each other. Have a great day.
Love y'all.